All right, so you could probably read, which is good, but welcome to Terminally Online, where all I do is talk about things on the internet and try to figure out what the fuck is going on. So for the last, I want to say, week and a half to maybe 2 weeks, maybe even a month at this point, since basically the Suicide Squad game came out, which has just been the complete center of so much. It's probably the origination of this, even though if you've been conscious for longer than a month in the gaming sphere, you probably could have recognized the patterns and trends and everything that's been going on. So, I thought, where am I going to put this on the timeline? Which the timeline I tried to make is all over the place because I put together this script over the course of several days and I did not curate it. So, let's just start here. Why not? Spider-Man, Alan Wake, and ridiculous fishing devs speak up in support of consultancy studio Sweet Baby Incorporated. Basically, as you could gather from the community notes, as you could gather from just Lavender Ghost, and you're going to see a lot of people who have tweeted in this, because I certainly do not tweet this out. I merely read it, and I follow it. You might wonder, well, why would they speak up in support of a random studio that no one has ever heard of? Well, effectively, as you can probably imagine from the reader's added context, because thank you, community notes, because usually 80% of the time, community notes is very helpful, right? It was backlash to a targeted harassment campaign. And you might wonder, well, this company that no one has ever heard of, that apparently works with all these big name studios and big name games, why the holy fuck would they target someone or something to ban a Steam Curator group along with the personal Steam account of the person running it? And you would be kind of right. Why would they do that? Like when people talk bad about, Nintendo or EA or, Activision or any of these other studios routinely, Activision doesn't send a bunch of people to like bust in and delete your Steam account, right? If you refund Call of Duty. So the long story short is that after Suicide Squad came out, a bunch of people decided to look into, well, how could the writing for this game be so bad, right? Obviously the internet is full of super sleuths, right? And I'm not being sarcastic. After He Will Not Divide Us, I could flat out tell you they are full of super sleuths. They basically spent the ensuing 2 weeks after that game's release not only mocking the continuously falling player count, which now hovers in the hundreds, right? But also just in general going back and, seeing who exactly wrote this, who exactly worked on this. And I don't have tweets from that long ago because I didn't actually think this was going to go anywhere. It wasn't until the Steam group showed up with like 9,000 followers that I was like, huh, that's interesting. And that's when I really started to pay attention to this, which obviously happened about a month after the game came out. So, people were looking at it and they found that there's a bunch of writers that are affiliated with this consultancy group, which is called Sweet Baby Incorporated. So now, obviously, no one has ever heard of Sweet Baby Incorporated. They're like, what the fuck is this? Who are these people? Why are they doing these things? What the hell is going on here, right? Basically, it's a bunch of woke people designed to be hired and write crap about games and to fill in all the blanks. The studios will consult them and they will give their own personal, political, or otherwise take on how to correct things, make sure things are okay and above board. And over the next hour or so, I'm just going to review a whole bunch of tweets and a whole bunch of everything, and in general, just trying to put it all together. So as you can see, we're balls deep in the middle of Gamergate 2.0. There's even some of the same players involved in here, and we can thank Sarkeesian over a decade ago for pushing video games off a fucking cliff. So isn't that fantastic? Although this time, I will say it is the script is not even nearly as well cooked. Right, with Gamergate, you could argue there was a whole bunch of intrigue, right? I think the Me Too movement was gaining speed at the time, so it was like, oh, look at all these, gamers have always been portrayed as this misogynistic bubble of, awful, terrible people that want to gatekeep women out of their hobby and stuff. So it makes sense, just for someone onlooking to be like, yeah, I bet they did do that, or yeah, whatever. When in reality, it was just 5 people who reviewed a game that had an intimate connection with the game maker. And whereas it could have just been simply solved and forgotten about by saying, yeah, we didn't disclose we had an intimate relationship with this person, like, any sensible company would do. They make a mistake, whatever. They hired 5 people, and 5 people is a lot. 5 people who all had an intimate or closer than professional relationship with a woman who made a game, then they could just say, okay, we made a mistake, we'll resubmit a review with someone who has nothing to do with it. We apologize, right? Because if I'm your friend, if I'm literally putting my dick in you, right, there is no way in hell that in good faith I could sit here and say, yeah, I can review this fairly. We have a relationship outside of professionalism, right? That's automatically not going to fly, right? Or it shouldn't fly. So, people completely spun that into men want to control who women have sex with. It was ists and isms and phobes flying around left, right, and center. It was a whole mess. And when I say that these people never left 2014, I genuinely mean these people never left 2014. Like, the rest of us eventually just kind of tried to pack it up and move on. I mean, to this day, I still don't really use places like IGN and shit. And I mean, if you use places like Reset Era and NeoGAF, you're kind of just asking for it at this point. Which is why, whereas I would love to be all over the place with like gaming forums and stuff like that. Unfortunately, by the time I was really cognizant of wanting to do that, most of it was pretty much just terrible. Like most of it's just been completely undermined. It's been completely sold out. It's not something I want to do. So anyway, when I tell you that we're in the middle of Gamergate 2.0, where it could have been resolved with a simple, this time I don't think it could have been resolved as simply. It's just the writing feels worse. Like this season, the writers are fucking off. So, in other words, this time around, after Sarkeesian did her whole thing with FemFreak and everything like that, right, all the consultancy groups came out of the woodwork, right? They started to be formed because there's money to be made here, right? Like none of these games, all these companies fear one thing, well, maybe 2 things, right? They fear loss of revenue, and they fear backlash that they perceive will lead to loss of revenue, right? Now, I want to really briefly add that addendum, right? The perception that they will receive backlash that leads to loss of revenue is as dangerous to them as actually losing revenue, right? Like no company wants to be at the center of a shit show, right? Like as we've seen with places like Bud Light and things like that, they don't, whatever, and Gillette and all these other things that have been just completely Looney Tunes over the last year or last couple of years. Nobody wants to be at the center of that, right? Because, then you get to lose money. But, as far as I'm aware, I don't think the Gillette guy ever came back and said, yeah, whatever, I was a mistake to say I don't want their money. He flat out said I don't want their money. So then he didn't get their money. And that's a surprise to people, apparently, that when you tell people like, hey, men, this movie isn't made for you, and then men don't go watch it and it doesn't do that well or it bombs, you're mad at the men for not going to see a movie you told them not to see. Like you literally told them on Twitter, don't see it, it's not made for you. Which surprises me to no end that they expect people to go watch slop that isn't good, that they made, and then they insult them the whole time. But anyway, yeah, so they have a bunch of companies and a bunch of studios that will come in and they will consult for all these big game companies, big everything, right? And that was actually going to be the origination of this podcast, right? I was going to talk about some of the localizer shit, which also kind of popped off because of what happened with, I don't even remember the anime's name, Lovely Complex? I don't care. I wasn't even going to watch it. But, someone over there, and we're going to hopefully get to that. I might not, because I've already rambled for like 8 minutes. But we're going to hopefully get to that at some point. Maybe on another episode. Maybe I'll record 2 episodes. I have no idea. So, why would they omit this, right? Why would Eurogamer write an article and then decide to omit the fact that company employees targeted someone, not just for a Steam Curator group, but also wanting to get his Steam account banned? Like, why would they do that, right? Like, what could they possibly have to gain from that? Why would they do such a personal attack when all the guy did was list games that they worked on, right? Like, like a resume, effectively. So why would they do that? Well, because a lot of these consultancy groups, they like to work in the dark. They like to not be known, right? They only like to list things publicly so people can probably look up their resumes and say, oh, you worked on this. Because, like, even if you think these games suck, right? Even if you think these games are fucking horrible, right? Like, being able to make up a list of 10, 20 games you've consulted on is how you roll upward. Like, that's how you climb the corporate ladder. That's how you get more roles in bigger things, right? And then eventually you have a big break, ideally, or maybe you just have a series of small breaks that build your career. So, I mean, at the end of the day, it's all career building. It's all a little bit political. It's a lot of it political, right? So when you see an ugly woman in a video game, right? Like, let's say Spider-Man 2, which is the case in point, right? When you see an ugly woman in a video game, when you play as a level where you have to play as the deaf girl running around graffitiing up the place, right? When you have all this weird stuff in the game, you know, like they have ugly women, and like Fable is constantly comes up when they showed the Fable reboot, or I don't even know what Fable game it is because I don't like Fable. I don't care, right? When they show you things like Mary Jane having a ridiculous fucked up face and she looks nothing like it, right? That's their work. That's their work, right? And Insomniac and all these other companies are just listening to it. Why? Because A, they probably don't care that much, and B, they get to make a ton of money off of it. I mean, let's be fair here. They pay this is effectively the person your boss brings in to correct your work. So let's start from kind of sort of the beginning, right? And by kind of sort of the beginning, I mean a video game. I mean a tweet by Saved You a Click Video Games, who mostly stayed out of this, in fairness to them. They just wrote one of those Saved You a Click things, right? Where they try to tell you what's going on. So this is actually at the end, right? So Sweet Baby Inc. doesn't do what some gamers think it does. This is propaganda, by the way. You're gonna see this again. All the checkmark websites, Eurogamer, PC Gamer, Kotaku, they're all writing cover pieces for this. They're all running the fucking interference for it. And like, there is a point to be made here. Not every game that instantly has a female in it, or a black character in it, or a black female, or a gay person, or a trans person is automatically bad. No one in a fair state of mind is going to say that. They would like you to believe that, but that's not true. But what people don't like is they don't like pandering. They don't like being fed bullshit and having it shot up their asses and being told that this is great, this is awesome. And people are pretty fucking good about this, right? So, other than that, this article completely this is a narrative development and consultation studio. They focus on dialogue and stories, but there aren't many specific examples of what they've done in this article besides minor stuff in Suicide Squad, like audio logs. The devs always get the final say, which we will also see is not totally true, especially in localization. We will see that that's not always true. This article completely ignores the reason this controversy blew up. An SBI employee tried to get a Curator and its creator banned on Steam. Now, if you've never used Steam, you have no idea what a Curator group is on Steam, right? I just want to really briefly tell you that Curator groups are basically like an author segment, right? So like people who play games, like they play a lot of games or whatever, they can write like, it's like a little mini blog. And if you get a lot of follows, you get a lot of everything, you get to write like, oh, well, this is what I thought about the game. Thumbs up, thumbs down. It's just there to give more context for consumers to base their purchases off of, right? Like if you see, for example, one of the Curator groups, the only one I think I even followed before this was, Commander Shepard, and basically it's a meme curator group where he goes to every new game and he says, this is my favorite game on the Citadel. It's a Mass Effect 2 reference back to Mass Effect 2. You could do the same thing with 2 shops on the Citadel. You could have like, it's my favorite shop on the Citadel to get a discount. It's over a decade old joke that I have to explain the context of, and immediately it dates me as being older than like 20, which is insane. Anyway, so the real reason why all this blew up is because they tried to get this guy banned, right? So if we look at this, all right, they censored this. We're going to uncensor this eventually. I think I have that somewhere in here. Anyways, report the fuck out of this group. Steam group Sweet Baby Inc. detected, right? For letting people know if a game is involved with this company. That's it. That is literally the whole group. Now, whether they'll put thumbs down. So I'm not going to say that they have like no influence. You have to put thumbs up, thumbs down. But that's it, right? This would be like if I was playing, I don't know, an Atlas game, right? Like I was Atlas detected, right? Like this is obviously a little different because it's not a consultancy group. But like, let's say Atlas is a part of Sega. If I'm like a Sega diehard, right? Like I'm playing Yakuza and I'm playing Persona and Sonic and stuff like that, right? Like obviously I'd go to every one of the Persona games and be like, yeah, Atlas worked on this for whatever it's worth, right? So Anyway, regardless of that, I want to give that context. You could look for yourself. Steam community groups are a fucking joke, bro. They're a fucking joke. They're not, and I'm not saying that to shit on any Steam group. Don't take them seriously, right? Ultimately, the best judge of a product is you, right? But how is this not targeted harassment? Especially by someone who worked on the games in question. And then the kicker, right? So like you could say, okay, whatever, this is potentially hurting his bottom line. He loves his Steam account so much. Get him banned. Cabrutus, by the way. Shout out to Cabrutus, because you, my friend, I don't know if he realized it at the time. I think he maybe made this as a joke. You'd have to ask him. But he basically put himself in the fucking limelight. He put himself in the crosshairs of some random fucking loser from Sweet Baby Incorporated who basically kicked off Gamergate 2.0 trying to say, yeah, you know, he loves his account so much, I want it gone. And obviously they get ratioed the fuck out of. But, you know, one dude telling 20, 30, 40 people to all go spam reports could be bad, right? Could be not great. Now, spoilers, Cabrutus did hear back from Steam. They're not going to ban him. They're not even going to take the Steam group down. But I actually should have had the Steam link for the page up. I'm sorry that I don't. And I wonder if I could really briefly go to the Steam page itself. Hold on, let me see if I can. Let's see. Let's see. Sweet Baby Inc. Right? Oh god, yeah, the curator is alive and well. Can I get the... Let's see. I'd have to go into Steam. Yeah, okay, I'd have to go into Steam. Here it goes. Is this it? Okay, I found it. Right? There you go. So, I have to change the window in OBS. Give me a second. Is it not going to do it for me? Okay, I think sometimes what I have to do is I have to flash the actual scene that I'm in to get it to update. There you go. Which is going to be great because I'm going to have to go back anyway. So yeah, this is Sweet Baby Inc. detected. When I joined it, which obviously I'm not logged in because I don't log into Steam outside of the Steam app. I've never done that really. But when I joined, it was at like high 8,000, I think, when I opened the tab, or when I, you know, opened it on Steam, and then afterwards I joined it later. I was like, ah, sure, whatever, why not, right? 240,000 followers. This is the definition of the Streisand effect. So you might ask, well, what is so vile that they've done, right? And mind you, they've only done 16 reviews, right? Like, so what is so vile that they've done? Well, they go around and they go to games, like here's actually a game I was interested in, right? They go to games like, say, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, right? Which is a game I played the living fuck out of, right? Used to be featured on their website. This is all stuff that they posted, by the way. This is a web archive, right? If we go to this web archive, if I could just tag only the web archive. Give it a second. It's going to take a minute. It's a web archive. The page isn't live, as you can imagine, right? So this is a captured 97 captures. You can't see it, I'm sorry. 97 captures, almost all of which were in the last couple of months, right? So as you can see, this is a list of their clients, right? Ubisoft, as we just saw with Assassin's Creed. Rocksteady, which is what kicked all of this off. WB Games, Electronic Arts, even Valve, right? And obviously Square Enix, because Square Enix is just one of the shittiest companies imaginable. I hate that Creative Business Unit 3 is stapled to them, because I genuinely believe that what a fucking disaster this fucking company is. Without 14, these dudes would be cooked. Anyway, as you can see, Valhalla is referenced. Now, again, and by the way, as you can see, all this is free, all this is public, right? So we're going to actually hear from Kim Belair later. I might just make a whole episode off of this. Maybe I'll do the localizer shit later, because this is already going to take me like an hour to get through, right? But yeah, they're totally fine. But who's ever going to visit a site called Sweet Baby Inc.? Right? Like, this is basically a portfolio for people, you know, what do? We edit stories to be less problematic, right? We make sure that companies, you know, and again, Goodbye Volcano High has its own fair share of comedy about it, which I'm not going to get into because I don't really know too much. Oh, and Wizards of the Coast. I almost didn't see that down here. Sorry. Wizards of the Coast. I have to remember that the screen is not a full screen. Yeah, they talk about exactly what they do. It's challenging enough to, okay, well, this I could go through this. I'm not really going to go through that because whatever her experience is as a black person, right? Like as a black person, I kind of understand some of that, right? But how I view it is going to be completely different than wanting to get into games and intentionally censor the fuck out of them and change things. Like, to me personally, like that's just exactly why we're not all fucking monoliths. But I don't want to treat them all like monoliths. But I digress. So, as you can see, that's all they do. This is it. Gotham Knights. And then obviously the big one was Suicide Squad, which is now 40% off because this game is doing so fucking well that month one, they're trying to bump the fucking numbers by having a 40% off sale on a live service shoot 'em up, which is always just going to work out. But, like, let's be fair here. Most of these other games, not to shit on them, other than, like, controversy on Goodbye Volcano High, most of these games, who really cares? Like, most of these games, who gives a shit? And at the time when I first came on here, I think it was only up to Valhalla. And I could tell you, like, Valhalla might have their influence in it, right? I don't like what they've done with making the female characters canon. I don't know if that's Sweet Baby Inc. or not. Could just be Ubisoft being fucking dumb. I don't particularly care too much about that, right? Because I'd like Valhalla because there's a lot of content in it. There's a lot of stuff that I like in Valhalla. Obviously, if there wasn't, I wouldn't have fucking played it for over 150 hours. And unfortunately, this game, which I actually was looking forward to. But yeah, that's all this Steam group does. I'm not even kidding you. You almost wouldn't even see this Steam group on even half the games. So the guy running this, Cabrutus, I'm not saying that he doesn't do a lot of work. He's just not really spending a ton of time going through every fucking game credits or every fucking thing, right? That's what they got mad about. Like, unironically, this is what they got so upset about, is someone pointing out, hey, look, it's the people that inject politics into everything, and hey, look, it's the people that fucking hate video games, writing, and here's proof, right? Here's a YouTube link, here's a, on their last update, right? Which probably was disclosure, honestly. I could actually see what the fuck they did with that. That's actually funny, right? And so now listen, what they're going to do is they're going to hide this. They're not going to fucking talk about the games that they fucking work on anymore. You might find out through some other method, but I don't think they're going to be listing it on their website for much longer, honestly. But yeah, that's what they wanted to do. That's the group. That is it. You would think, like, well, maybe they were telling people, to go self-delete. Maybe they were telling people to fucking, target people and harass them based on some intrinsic quality, right? No, the whole thing is just, hey, they worked on this. They worked on these games. They did this. I'm not even kidding you. And to that end, they wanted to report bomb him out of existence. I mean, like, let's be fair here. So, scroll down, right? Sweet Baby is a curator that gives thumbs down to games that worked with SBI with proof of their involvement. I think that's really the kicker, is that there's legit proof. It's not even like speculation. It's not opinion. It's legitimately proof of their involvement from their own website, right? So that's what all a curator group does. All the curator group does is just say, hey, they worked on this, right? And so obviously in comes Kotaku, just being the heroes of the story, just saying, oh, well, they must be anti-woke conspiracy theorists. Like, as if you just don't have eyes. It's literally that line from 1984. It's like, oh my God, you just reject the evidence of your eyes and ears, right? Just pretend that none of this exists, right? None of this is made up. We just went to their website. Literally at the top, sweetbabyinc.com. It's their website. This is not like Cabrutus put this up. So anyway, reject the evidence of your eyes and ears. You must be a conspiracy theorist if you're able to read at this point, which wouldn't shock me in the fucking slightest, given how these people are. And yeah, so we're pulling the usual, well, people have faced rampant harassment as a direct result, and they give no evidence. Like, could you imagine, right, if someone goes on a YouTube comment and says, hey, Spray, you should fucking kill yourself, right? You should terminate your life. You should self-delete, and you should just be gone from existence, right? I could take a picture of that. I could take a screenshot. That's what Snipping Tool is for, right? Like, what? Huh? How you would think that these people who are over here trying to target this dude, right? They got this dude's entire Steam, listed out. They got him with the fucking thing down here, how to report him. You mean to tell me that these people that wanted this guy gone so much can't take a screenshot of someone telling them, like, hey, you should be gone? Which, mind you, welcome to the internet. People will tell you to kill yourself. I know, it's fantastic. It's great. People, even better, people do that in real life. And sometimes they'll try to help you with that in the worst way possible. So yeah, last month, one of the company's consultants discovered a Steam group dedicated to detecting, as if this is some like crazy fucking word. Yes, you put your names in the credits, geniuses. So obviously people are going to start looking at your work. How do you think people come to love people, right? They see, oh, Hideo Kojima worked on this game. I love Kojima. He made Metal Gear Solid 1 and 2 and 3 and all the other games that people like, right? I mean, I was personally hoping for a Snatcher remake, but that didn't happen, right? Why do people love Yoko Taro? Oh, Yoko Taro made this. He made Nier. He made Automata, right? Why do people like, even with, for example, Final Fantasy XIV? Why do people like Final Fantasy XIV? Oh, look, Yoshi P made this and that. He's been working on it effectively over a decade, right? So things like that. But no, you're just a conspiracy theorist, because this is the modern day version of being a bigot, right? I mean, they'll still call you a bigot. They'll still call you a misogynist. They'll still call you all kinds of crazy shit, right? I mean, at this point, all those words just kind of don't mean anything, because, like, once you've used it to describe people who literally just disagree with your way of thinking, like, you take away any real power that the word kind of even has. But anyway, yeah, so who knows? Maybe he got some saucy messages back. Welcome to the internet. You post stupid shit, people come along and publicly comment, and then that's how the internet works. I don't know what to tell you. That's literally how the internet is, and that's how it's always been. And I'm not saying every time that, the mob has been right? Like, for example, this is going to be a saucy take, but it's kind of an outdated thing. When Justin Bieber and Rebecca Black were doing their thing, and I remember, this is a different time entirely. Yeah, was their music great? No. Yeah, did people have to go out and, like, tell them to jump off cliffs and stuff? Obviously not. But, you're gonna get shit no matter what. I don't know how grown-ass adults don't understand this. There's like 16 and 17-year-olds running YouTube accounts that understand this better than like grown-ass like 30, 40-year-olds with nothing better to do than, consult on video games terribly. So yeah, basically the long and short of it is that the Kotaku journalist visited the Discord group and then just couldn't give examples of what it is. So that's pretty much all it is. No one has any idea what this company does. It reminds me of a company, I forget the name of the company, but it was on, they IPO'd it in like 2022. And I think some guy on CNBC or something asked the CEO, like, what does your company do? And he couldn't answer. I forget what company it was. It became like a minor meme. And it's like, well, what does your company do? Oh, well, my company makes games. We consult on games. It's something that simple. No one even has any fucking idea what Sweet Baby Inc. does besides consulting on groups. And the patterns kind of show, though. I think people are not stupid enough. They can begin to connect the dots, right? Like, after a certain point, you start to be able to do this. So let's actually rewind even further. Let's see. Oh, shit. I forgot. I have to open it in another tab. I have to open it specifically in this tab. So, back on March 1st, right, Niche Gamer, obviously seeing the writing on the wall, decided, let me close this, by the way, since it messes with that. Okay, I'm done with that. Niche Gamer wrote an article about it. We're not going to go too in-depth to it, but basically, it confirms all this, right? Well, I guess we should. Why not? I have nothing but time to waste. I'm not really recording too much today anyway. So, also, this was another topic I was going to get into, but I guess we're not getting into it today, unfortunately. Curator page is just simply intended to inform users. That's it. And we've already been over that, right? So, it's Kindred, right? This is not a clickable link? Yeah, so whatever. He made his thing. We're going to come back to him because he had some saucy things to say about Akira Toriyama, because Akira Toriyama, yes, has unfortunately passed away. And obviously, whenever anyone influential passes away, someone has to come out the woodwork after they're dead to try to get, like, free points off people who didn't like him. But the problem is that, like, everyone kind of liked Akira Toriyama, or at least respected his legacy. So, anyway, we're not going to get into that. That comes later. This happened a long while ago. So, yeah, It's Kindred went out, and it was like, anyway, report the fuck out of this group, right? All that stuff. And this is actually around the time when I saw it, right? It was like 9,000 followers, and we've already seen they've ballooned. This is Streisand effect. Because what they should have done is just ignore it. Okay, some dude is saying you worked on a game. If you were proud of your work, and if you genuinely thought you were doing the right thing and making quality work, this shouldn't bother you. This should be like a badge of honor. And I'm not saying like, well, there's haters, so it's a badge of honor. I'm saying like, you should not be bothered by people saying, hey, this is what you professionally put out. This is what you make, whether they like it or not, right? A group of 10,000 followers means nothing in the grand scheme of things, right? Like who honestly genuinely cares? Like who even uses Steam curators? Steam is used by millions upon millions of people. Who cares if even 240,000 people like this shit? Most people don't even know how to get to the Curator network. They just see maybe I only see that one Commander Shepard one pop up. Like, who the fuck actually even knows how to get here? Even I had to Google it to get back here. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, no one knows how to do this, right? So yeah, thank you, Niche Gamer, actually having it, right? So yeah, community notes went out of their way and stuff. And obviously, like with Gamergate 1.0, we have people with tons of collusion, right? So we have a guy who works at Sweet Baby Inc., right, acting like he doesn't. Boom. Here, it should be noted that they work for the company being criticized. Like, come on, dude. Like, and I'm not saying that they were trying to hide it, but like, you have to understand that when you see big people with a lot of followers come out, right, they're probably colluded with this. This is not news. If you've been around 10 years ago when they did the same shit almost to the fucking year, right, it was the same shit, right, and all the same fucking people ran interference on it. They all did the same thing, right? So in case you're confused as to who Lego Butts is, and this is going to be really spicy, and maybe not, I follow Mark Kern, not on this account, but I follow Mark Kern. I guess I should follow him. There you go. Basically, we went into detail. He's been firing off about this. I actually really respect him, right? Because as an OG developer, right, OG World of Warcraft already sold me because I used to love World of Warcraft when I was a kid, and now I don't. I like it, but I don't play it as much anymore. You know, this is Zoe Quinn's PR person, right? And they have personal history, so obviously he's not going to be too lenient, too happy about it, right? I can understand why. And, you know, as someone who worked in the industry, I kind of will take his opinion on this. I'm not surprised that they ended up a Sweet Baby. Yeah, it seems like shit really rolls uphill, huh? It really is kind of interesting how the same people from 4 years ago, or I'm sorry, from 10 years ago in 2014, kind of are just showing up again. And it's going to happen again. I don't know if it'll take another 10 years, but I think finally, for once, there's a straw that kind of broke the back a little bit. I think people are finally kind of talking about it, right? Which is good and bad, right? Because, you know, we're gonna have to go through another couple months of gamers are the worst kind of people on the planet, which is absolutely absurd, considering most gamers just want to sit around and play Call of Duty and 2K. But yeah, like about sat on their Twitter for months and worked to get a lot of people banned from Twitter or their jobs. It's great. These are the people that they're supporting. So Grums has just been going off. You're going to see Grums a lot. I took a lot of tweets from Grums, pretty much. So they have been sitting around. Yeah, if you feel the work is good, stand by your beliefs. So you know it's not good. So you get mad when people expose it. When people talk about, hey, Sweet Baby worked in this game. Now, let's be fair here. This is not going to reach 90% of the people that are going to potentially play a Sweet Baby game. Let's be fair here. Most of them are not going to wake up. There's no way, barring a company going out of business, or Microsoft trying to take away the disk drive and do whatever the Xbox One shit was, the always on bullshit, right? There's no fucking way that this is going to influence sales enough, genuinely. It might, it has potential, but to say that like this is going to be such an existential crisis to Sweet Baby, I don't believe that. And I'm not saying that to be defeatist or to try to take the wind out of anyone's sails. I think it's good that we get conversations starting because I think that's how things ultimately improve, which is why when people want to try to, you know, suppress the truth, get people banned, try to, you know, stand for people, you know, saying let's take away his games because he obviously likes his account, right? This is precisely why people don't want to do this. They want to have alternate accounts for a billion fucking things because they don't want to lose their fucking shit. And I don't blame them because, you know, this is absolutely bullshit. It's brigading. That's exactly what it is. So Grums, this again, all out of order. So you're going to have to bear with me while we try to go through this. Grums went ahead and he calls it the Cancel Pig Company. I just call him a bunch of pieces of shit. I mean, ultimately it is what it is, up to you. So here's how you could follow it. This might be the biggest plug that they got, honestly. But yeah, they went in, he shows off all the games that they worked on. At the time, you could see where this kind of was, right? Volcano High, things like that. Gotham Knights, which honestly, how many times are they going to work on DC shit? Saints Row, one mention as one, and obviously, if you know anything about this game, these couple of games were like some of the last biggest flops that came out in the last couple of years, especially Forspoken. I am very annoyed at Square Enix. Like, Square Enix just sucks, like 90% of the time. And I love their games. I love Final Fantasy, and I like Nier, and I like Dragon Quest now, and I like a lot of other things that they work on. But by God, man. And obviously, Miles Morales, Mortal Kombat, right? And, of course, the one that kicked it all off, Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League. So, let's see here. Some of this might be rehashes, so we're going to try to speed through this a little bit so we could get to them talking about it, right? So, Sweet Baby Narrative Writer, the narrative writer is upset at someone pointing out their work, right? Like, yeah, that's totally legit. Is trying to make Steam ban the group that simply reports on if Sweet Baby writes DEI content for the game. So, in case you don't know what DEI is because you live under a rock, it's diversity, equity, and inclusion. Basically, they try to find something. Effectively, what it should be is to have equal representation in games, things like that, or movies. They use it for a lot of things now. It's not just even entertainment media, right? What it really is we take a bunch of white people and straight people and men, and we turn them into black people, we turn them gay, we turn them into women, right? Whatever the character changes we need to do, we make all the dudes lame and stupid, and we add in fucking Mary Sue's, right? This has been happening a long time, though. The turn of this happened, I would even argue, before feminist frequency, right? So I wouldn't necessarily pin all the things that went wrong on DEI. DEI is just the emergent hydra head of like bad writing in so many industries and even bad real life practices, right? Even it's not even just limited to that. So yeah, anyway, for the cardinal sin of not liking the work that they did, they wanted him completely Thanos out of existence. His games taken away, his group gone, because they want to work in secret. They will have a public website, but you will never know how to get to this public website. Like, let's be fair here. When you get to the credits of a game, do you give a fuck about the people that are like in production? And I'm not saying this to demean or belittle them, but when you finish a video game, right? You sat down, you finished even a 20-hour, a 10-hour game. Do you really give a fuck about half of these people? Do you really care, right? Are you just sticking around because there might be a credit scene or something like that? Like, for example, Enter the Matrix is one of the games I used to play a lot, where they would have a post-credit scene. When you beat the game, when you finish the Tunnels of Real, not only do you unlock that weird bonus level I never really figured out what to do, and to be fair, I never looked up what to do in it, but you also get like a Matrix Revolutions trailer at the end, right? And for those of you who don't know, Enter the Matrix came out in between Matrix Reloaded and Matrix Revolutions. So it was kind of like a promo to like lead in to the final act of the Matrix series, which was, I think they both came out in 2003. It was like one movie that got like almost split into two. I like Into the Matrix so much. I really wish it would get like a port or something, but that game is probably going to be lost to time, which is really unfortunate. Anyway, Chris, your cancellation efforts are simply bullying. If you're so proud of the work, then why are you trying so hard to hide it? Because they like, and he knows this, right? I'm just saying for the audience, they like to work in silence. They like to be the unknown figure. You know, some of them do it because, you know, let's even take the Sweet Baby CEO at her word, right? She feels a certain type of way as a black woman, right? Which in and of itself is a whole can of worms and a whole topic that I could go into that I'm not going to go into. But she feels a certain type of way about stuff, right? She wants to do things with games. She wants to do all sorts of stuff, right? That's fine. Like, even if you want to take her at her word, right? That's fine. But they like to work in secret. They don't like to be publicly known, right? So when you look at a game like, oh shit, can I go back? Where was that list of games? Here we go. Shit. Here we go. When you look at a game like Forspoken, right? When you look at a game like Saints Row, right? You're going to look at this and you're going to say, why would I want to play this? These games have none of these. This is none of the charm of the original two games, which are like GTA clones, and it has none of the appeal of the third and fourth game, which are like superhero, open world, like free roam, like Prototype style games, right? If anyone even fucking remembers Prototype, that's a dead franchise, right? Like Forspoken. I mean, like Forspoken itself became a fucking meme in and of itself. Starfield. I mean, Starfield is just boring to me. I'm not going to lie to you. I played Starfield for maybe 14 hours. I had no desire to go back. Maybe I'll go back. I don't really care, right? Things like that, right? or Miles Morales is whatever. I mean, obviously they're gonna fucking get to work on that. I mean, that's just the DEI the game pretty much. Oh shit, I lost my forward. Whatever. Anyway, I'll bring it back. Even if you want to say that like what they're doing is in good faith, they don't like having a flashlight held up to them. They don't want to be cited as the reason why these games are awful or bad or any of that, right? So obviously, luckily, the internet quite literally never forgets. Someone archived the whole thing, right? Everything that they wanted to fucking do. And they don't like to be exposed, right? They don't like to have people hold a light up, say, wow, so Sweet Baby did this, 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 and this. They did this, this, and this, right? They don't like that, obviously. And the problem doesn't even necessarily stem from this. It's the fact that game studios feel like they have to do this. And what you're going to see, and I don't want to like jump around too much, because if I do, I'm actually never going to finish this in like 100 years, right? But they kind of bully game studios into accepting this, which is kind of insane. They basically terrify game studios into saying, hey, you're going to have this, or otherwise, someone's going to come after you. Okay, I think I already showed this, right? If your work is good, stand by your beliefs, which they can't stand by their beliefs because they cannot create. They can only destroy. They can only take stuff that someone else has created, whether it's Batman, a Batman IP, or Assassin's Creed, which, is at this point almost like a 15, 18-year-old franchise, right? They can only take other people's creations and pervert and destroy them, remove things, censor titties, censor language, make cringe dialogue that they think is funny, have all these characters be fucking idiots, have the black characters be super cool and doing stuff, have the white characters be lame and gay and all sorts of stuff, right? And you just kind of get to a point where it's like, bro, like even playing Spider-Man 2, right, which is still a good game, despite all of this, right? I will still advocate that it is a good game. Now, there are parts of it that are really fucking stupid and don't belong in it. People complained about the Mary Jane missions. They still put the Mary Jane missions in. Why? I don't know. They really, really, really want you to play as Mary Jane. The Mary Jane missions are probably the worst part of any of the Spider-Man games, and they still will not refuse to leave her out of the games. They cannot, right? So things like that, right? Like there's all kind of cringy world dialogue. Listening to Danicast makes you want to fucking carve your fucking eardrums out with a spoon, right? Things like that. Like people just like things, and I've said this before, and I said it 10 years ago when I was fucking talking with someone about Metroid, where they insinuated the only reason I like Metroid is because Samus is a woman and I could jerk off to her, which was probably that was one of the most sexist conversations I've ever had. I've had other ones. But, yeah, then people just like badasses doing badass things. I've said this before and I'll say it again. Like, that's what people really care about. People care about good writing, which is obviously subjective. Everything ultimately is going to be subjective in this sphere, but people like generally accepted good writing. Oh, and by the way, let's move on to this. Shout out to Y Guy Central, by the way. Yeah, Chris Kindred privated their Twitter, so shocker, I know. And then I think they also got temporarily banned. But yeah, a lot of this is true. Like, why do these companies even exist? Why are AAA studios not just writing their own narratives? Like, what happened? Like, and then that's a very good point, because obviously they didn't have a ton of consultancy back in the day, right? So Y Guy Ratchet puts it very succinctly. It's mostly a scam. They trick the higher-ups at the corporate office to believe that in order to squeeze money out of them for doing the absolute bare minimum in the game industry, they tell you that they're necessary or otherwise your game is not going to sell. And what do you think that a bunch of business execs who probably don't play video games, they don't care about video games, it's just a product. You could move them from a CEO of a game company to a CEO of a car company, and it wouldn't make any difference almost in how they approach anything, right? They're going to hear that, hey, we can consult for you or whatever, and they're going to do it either because A, it's taxable, they could write it off, or B, because they genuinely believe that they're going to get fucking stampeded by a bunch of angry people. And the spoiler alert that they haven't realized yet is that most of these people don't give a fuck about video games, and they wouldn't play it. It's like with the Hogwarts Legacy shit. Like, Hogwarts Legacy, because of J.K. Rowling, who gave them the world, by the way. I watched J.K. Rowling for years capitulate on shit that maybe she does agree with, maybe she doesn't. She gave them more black people, more Asian people, right? Hogwarts is super diverse now, right? They gave them all kinds of stuff, right? They said, okay, well, we're going to have this. We're going to have a show where Hermione's now black, right? Even though in the movies and canon, she's obviously white as a fucking ghost, right? We're going to pretend like you just don't have eyes and we're going to make her black for some reason, right? The one thing she didn't want to budge on, and she was just suddenly not allowed. She was persona non grata, which is like the most insane thing to me, that this super pinnacle of left-wing and, you know, liberal writing suddenly flipped and became essentially like an ironic right-wing video game, even though it really had nothing to do with that. Hogwarts Legacy, other than being set in the world that she created, probably had almost next to zero to do with her. And somehow, right, that's supposed to be the big boycott of last year. The Video Game Awards didn't even mention it, right? This is one of the biggest launches of 2023. The Video Game Awards just flat out did not even talk about it, okay? I want you to understand that. Kid Jeff Keighley, I don't know how much, obviously I can't patsy him for this, but they just did not mention Hogwarts Legacy at all, right? That game was effectively like a money dump. They probably just released it because they were hoping to make some money back. They end up making over $1 billion. It's like one of the best-selling WB games I think they've ever made, and it's definitely up there for one of the highest-selling games of the year. I think it was. I don't usually trust WB at their word, as you'll see later, or maybe, you know, maybe in another episode. I don't know. I have to go into WB stuff. But I will believe that WB made a lot of money off of it. I will believe that their boycott, not only did it fail, I think it amplified sales of the game. And what they're not seeing, if I could do this, right? Let's see. Helldivers 2 is one of the top ones being tracked, which is really fucking funny. What was I going to do? By the way, is Palworld still up here? Yeah, it's still number 9, believe it or not. That's absolutely insane. I mean, how? Fuck, sure. We could even just look at Helldivers, right? Here's a game that doesn't have any of this bullshit. It's still at like 75% of its peak. Helldivers is doing amazingly. Like, look at it. It's insane to watch Helldivers just go. Even though and you could even see the day-night cycle of people playing the game. People have been playing this game nonstop for almost a month. It's insane. Maybe even more than a month. How old is it? 3? I don't think it goes back any further. Yeah, it doesn't. I think I broke it. Oops, I think I broke it. Yeah, I don't think it goes back far enough. Anyway, yeah, like, it's lost a little bit, but it's still riding pretty high, right? All right, let's look at Suicide Squad. Suicide Squad. Kill the Justice League. Well, this is almost the peak, right? If you look back, this is maintenance. Obviously, it will be unfair for me to count this. I'm going to assume that this is maintenance. I think the low was like 187 people are playing this. Mind you, this is a 4-player co-op game, right? Like, co-op and always online. Like, so you have to do this, right? Someday they're going to flip a switch and turn it off, and then you won't be able to. But you could even see the fall off is insane. This was the peak. Literally launch day, and it has been downhill by thousands of people ever since. Now, again, I don't usually like to be the dude to look at how many people are playing. That's how good the game is. Every game has an ebb and flow. Excuse me. So if we go back, there's an ebb and flow here, right? You could even just see it's mostly day and nights, right? More people will play in the evening when they get home. They sit down. What am I going to play today? I'll play Helldivers, right? That's the ebb and flow. And then, you know, around like 4 in the morning, you get the minimum. But look, Helldivers is doing pretty fucking well, dude. 136,000, even at the pitch black of night, the literal morning, people are playing, and it just ebbs and flows the entire day, right? Excluding obvious maintenance time, right? Suicide Squad, which is also a co-op game, these are almost in the same genre, with a more established IP, can barely even break 1,000. When was the last time it was above 1,000? Like a couple weeks ago? Maybe they peak every so... Yeah, they've been down there for a while. So this game is not well received. Now, you could argue that this game is mostly played by console players. There was actually an article somewhere. I didn't put it in this, unfortunately. I could maybe try to find it, right? Let's see if I can. Hold on. Let's see. Okay, there you go. So... I'm not going to give Kotaku a click. Fuck them. I'll give someone else I don't like a click. Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League fell short of expectations, according to Warner Brothers, right? So obviously, I'm not going to go through this whole article, right? I hate to summarize it in a headline, I know, but as you can see, it was not too long ago, right? Rocksteady Studios was talking about, they launched it, right? It seems Warner Brothers is less than impressed, as the company said in the latest financial call that it has fallen short. And if they're admitting this a month after launch, it's really bad. That's bad. That's not good. And I don't like the Suicide Squad. I guess I'll give full disclosure. I didn't like the movie. I don't really like it as an idea. It seems interesting, but it just seems like a very forced IP. I don't know why they're sitting around and forcing this shit, the way that they are, but yeah, I don't know. They didn't mention a sales figure. They're not going to mention a sales figure. Maybe like in a while. But yeah, on the other hand, you have Hogwarts Legacy, which is supposedly the best-selling game of 2023, beating out 2 other titans in the industry. Supposedly. I don't know how much I trust this, right? But even let's give it the benefit of the doubt. Let's say that this left-wing boycott, because it was a boycott, right? It was definitely a boycott that they tried to say, if you play this game, you're a phobe. They had lists people were getting put on for streaming it because we live in a fucking 1984 simulator, right? They had all kinds of stuff, right? Okay, let's say all of that is true, right? Think about it. A random single-player game, a silly Harry Potter game, right? It's got problems too. It's not even a perfect game. Beat out Tears of the Kingdom, which, I mean, I'll be fair with you. Tears is good, but it's not, like, revolutionary like Breath of the Wild was at the time. And then a cheap rehash. Let's be fair. Modern Warfare 3 is a fucking rehash. They weren't even supposed to have a COD game this year, or last year, but people just kind of, forgave them for that. Anyway, you have all these industry heads, right? All these people with big degrees and suits and stuff that are telling you that single player games are dead. It's all about multiplayer games. EA has been sucking this dick forever. I've been mad at them about it for the last decade, right? EA will come out and say single player games are dead, and then they will do everything to handicap DICE for making more single player games. They will literally liquidate Visceral for making good games. They will literally liquidate all kinds of studios for making good games. And then they will turn around and they will put out slop multiplayer. And then they'll be like, well, Battlefield 2042 is going to be the next biggest game or whatever. And or the other ones, it's just a whole mess. I have podcast episodes I've done about this when it was new. Okay? All right. But yeah, you have all these people saying that single player games suck, multiplayer games are dead, right? One of the best-selling games of last year was a single-player game. It didn't even get mentioned at the VGAs, because inherently this game, unfortunately, has the curse of being very political by nature. And it has nothing to do with what's in the game. It has to do with people's perception of the woman that made the franchise 20, 30 years ago, right? That's really what it is. And it really sucks for Hogwarts, because you could tell that the people that made it, which, by the way, was also pretty much a no-name studio, right? Like, I couldn't find Avalanche Studios. Like, they haven't really worked on too much, right? If I go to their Wikipedia, let's see, what do they make? Can we find a H2? What the fuck? Where are they, actually? Is this the wrong one? Am I losing my mind? Do I have the wrong one? Maybe I do. Let me look up Hogwarts Legacy. Oh, Avalanche Software, probably. Yeah, Avalanche Software. Thank you. So, like, look at this. This is their fucking shit, bro. What have they even been doing for the last, 30 years? And I'm not shitting on them. I'm proud of them. Look at what games they've made. And obviously, people come and go. It's not the same people for 30 years. The only games I've ever played from them were Tak and the Power of Juju. I didn't even play the sequel. Staff of Dreams, because I didn't even like Tak and the Power of Juju. Now, I don't know what they've done since then. I don't know how good Toy Story 3 and Bolt, which is like a Pixar movie or something, is it? I have no idea. Then suddenly, out of nowhere, they're given presumably 6 or so years to make Hogwarts Legacy, right? It's the most watched single player game on Twitch of all time. Why? Because the boycott backfired. But anyway, enough about that. That's the point I'm trying to make, is that over here, WB will have legit fire, because unfortunately for them, a lot of the people that they probably wanted to buy the game didn't. But then a lot of people like me and other assholes were like, well, apparently if these people hate it, it must be good. And it was surprisingly really fucking well done. And it looked really good, and it played pretty well. Not for the Switch, though. Don't buy that version. So, all that to say, you know, all these games, like, people will value a good and well-made game over slop. It's just inevitably going to happen. 90% of the time, there's maybe some edge cases you can make for certain games, but I don't think there was really much of a hope for shit like Suicide Squad and Saints Row, right? Like, there just wasn't much of a hope for either of those games to really survive what they were going to, unfortunately, drop into. You know, like they've effectively lost the vast majority of the people that played this game, right? In the last 30 days, they've lost half their player base. And it's only going to go down. And remember, this game is on sale, right? So even if we zoom in, this is your sale bump. A couple hundred people. So, like I said, the reason I bring this up is because it didn't even sell well on other consoles, presumably. Because I don't think they're only talking about PC here without doing a whole deep dive into this. This could be an episode of a podcast all on its own, and I'm not really going to get into it any more than I already have, right? But going back to this, they tricked the higher-ups into thinking that they absolutely have to do this. Let's see. So yeah, Chris Kindred protects their Twitter. Let's see, what do I have here? So they tried to cover their tracks. So they deleted this. They delete their tweets trying to cancel it. So I want you to think about it, right? This company that pretty much only likes to operate in the dark. I think I've made a good case for that so far. And if not, then, I mean, come on. They tried to cancel this dude. They tried to get him, you know, they tried to run his Steam Curator group out off of Steam. They tried to run his account and get it banned, right, with all his games. Remember, they specifically cited the games. They specifically said, hey, look at all the games that he has, you know, like, let's get rid of them, right? Let's look at his account. You can clearly see that they specifically brought that up, right? Report the creator since he loves his account so much. This is the Sephiroth quote. What do you love so much so I could have the pleasure of taking it away from you? You like your account so much? This is his account right here. This is what they like. This is here forever. You know, I'm not saying that we should crucify these people for it. We should metaphorically, because this is ridiculous, bro. That's insanity. That some dude comes out and says stuff, and he doesn't even say anything. He cites their own fucking work. He cites their own website, and he gets they try to run him off for that. Like I said, it's not even necessarily in a super positive light, but not everything has to be super positive. They suck. Like, I don't know what to tell you. So yeah. Let's see. We're gonna go to. So this was obviously at the time I made this, right? So this Google document was a lot shorter than what it ended up being. Because at the time I made this, they hit 41K on March 1st, right? So, and then someone posted all the studios that they've worked with, which I think, you know, obviously we could look at the modern version of the page. Obviously, it's a lot more than what we had on the previous version, right? So, you know, Wizards of the Coast, People Can Fly. There's some names in here, Compulsion Games, I forget. They had something I was going to talk about, but I don't remember. 2K, Ubisoft, EA, Santa Monica, so probably God of War, maybe. Xbox, by definition, right? All these companies, don't think that most of these companies really give a shit. The higher-ups don't really care what happens to, like, characters like Kratos and all this other stuff. They don't really give a fuck. All they see is they see someone that can come out and they can say, hey, we're going to basically prevent risk. And they just throw a couple million at them or whatever, a couple 100,000 and call it a day, right? That's all that they really care about. These companies aren't like sticklers for it. I don't think they have your best interests at heart, but I don't think that these companies really give a shit. By the way, shout out Mr. Obvious. So yeah, again, to date this even harder, right? So this is 9:10 p.m. on March 1st. They had 40,000, right? Fast forward, March 2nd, so a day, or not even a day later, just a couple hours later, right? About 12 hours later, 14 hours later, because of the shit that they did, right? This is Grums again, how it started versus how it's going, right? They now have almost 60K, and as we already know, they have long since surpassed that. They've quadrupled in size since even March 2nd, and it's only, what, March 10th? It's March 9th, excuse me. Let's see. So that's gonna, okay. And so some of these are more opinionated posts that I think just have good points, right? So the general public talk about Sweet Baby is going to immediately kill the company. Yeah, the more they try to stifle the situation, the more obvious it is that even they know they're incompetent. Want money, they just want money doing nothing. It's a scam, because it is. It is a scam. And Tal is right. Kinshirotism. I love him, man. Yeah. Dude, he's right, basically. And this is the world's smallest violin. They have actual jobs and families to support. It's not like they're hurting anybody. Please consider closing this group. Bro, this group, if they never talked about it, would have stayed at 9,000. Right? I mean, we were just on a tweet where it was at 9,000. Maybe it would have gotten to like 15, 20K tops, bro. That's it. Because of this is what we call the Streisand effect. This is literally the Streisand effect in action. You could see it play out in real time. I watched this play out in real time. And in fairness, going forward, I'm going to try to do podcasts more regularly, even if it's just like 30 minutes, because at this point I've been talking for literally an hour. And we're about halfway through this, which we're kind of dipping through. Okay. They have a list of upcoming games with them, which honestly, I saw the Indiana Jones thing, not to completely spoil the thing I'm about to put on stream. But yeah, Indiana Jones, Wolverine, you can see that this is how they're doing it, right? They are getting their claws in as many games as possible, which builds up their reputation. They could then go to the next major game, right? So let's say Elder Scrolls 6, right? Which is a fantasy game anyway, but whatever, it doesn't matter, right? Elder Scrolls 6. Hey, who makes Elder Scrolls? Hey, Bethesda, and by extension, Microsoft. So they already work with Microsoft. We want to consult on Elder Scrolls 6. And then, I think women in Elder Scrolls look ugly anyway. Bethesda engines are not very great for attractive looking women 90% of the time. But whatever, they're gonna, uglify the women. They're gonna diversify it. They're gonna add inclusion. They're gonna add equity to a video game. But yeah. So, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, Wolverine, which also got horrifically leaked. Again, to say that any of these games are not going to do well is already crazy. I think that these big three up here are going to fucking fly off shelves no matter what. Because Machine Games is making this. So at the core, again, all these games are being made by good studios, right? At their core, they're going to have good stuff in it, right? But at the same time, this is how they're going to roll uphill, right? This is like a parasite that's just going to keep feeding on the horse that is video gaming, and it's just going to keep going, and they just don't like any amount of sunlight being poured on them. I want you to understand that. Once they realized that this was going to go outside the usual circle, they thought they were going to take Kabrutus into a closet and shank him to death, basically. They were going to fucking snuff him out, and no one was going to hear about it, and they were going to get him banned, and they were going to get his account banned. And unfortunately, I hate to be that dude, and this is the thing that I don't get about a lot of politics in general, is you can't make everything worse for people and then turn around and expect them to turn a blind eye to such obvious bullshit, right? So it's not like video games are at this great peak of storytelling anymore. I would say that the best thing most games have going for them is the fact that graphics look good, and now we have steady frame rate on everything that's not, made by Pokemon or made by Game Freak, pretty much, right? That's where we are now, right? But other than that, it's not it's no secret. People know that this writing is fucking awful, bro. People know that they're trying to push black characters ahead of white characters. They've been doing it in movies. It's just lame. It's all just stupid pandering that just doesn't appease anyone, especially let alone the people that actually want to play the product. And while most people aren't going to immediately grab a pitchfork and take to some forum to complain about it, most people are aware of it. I would say that even subconsciously, most people are aware of it. It's like watching Star Wars. You had the immediate schism between people who were more true blue fans of Star Wars that liked the stuff that they'd done up until then, and then Disney consumers. I'll just leave it at that. So yeah, this is just the ones that they have on IMDb, right? There's going to be more. These are relatively close to release, as they said. Red, I can't see coming out before 2025, maybe even late 2025. And Indiana Jones, I forget if they announced a release date, and we already know Wolverine is nowhere close. I don't know about these other 4 games. Fable just has that ugly woman, and I never liked Fable anyway, so I don't really care that much. I'm going to be honest with you. So here we go. Let's actually listen to the words, and I know this is an hour in, right? So you might think, okay, well, all this is just not enough, right? Let's listen to Sweet Baby about what they have to say.
If you're a creative working in AAA, which I did for many, many years, put this stuff up to your higher-ups. And if they don't see the value in what you're asking for when you ask for consultants, when you ask for research, go have a coffee with your marketing team and just terrify them with the possibility of what's going to happen if they don't give you what you want. If you're a creative...
Think about that. terrify them, aka, as Games Nosh says, we're gonna get all kinds of people in here, and that's the nice thing, is I'm gonna give everyone credit for this, because I just, by virtue of showing their tweet, I'm giving them credit. But yeah, just terrify them, put the fear of God into them, that if they don't consult with you, they're fucked. Something awful's gonna happen to them. They're not gonna be able to sell copies. I mean, I'm gonna be real with you, dog. This is not selling copies. I hate to be that dude. This is not selling copies. So you're trying too hard, is what it is. Like, I think that, honestly, here's my personal take, right? This is my experience, right? She's going to talk about her experience. I'll talk about my experience. The amount of people I played games with over the years, or have talked with about video games, has been one of the most diverse avenues of my life, right? So when I was playing sports, because I did play sports a long time ago, right? Most of the people I knew that were into sports were black and Hispanic, right? There were white people, right? Things like that, but it was mostly black and Hispanic men, right? Fine. Totally cool, right? With games, I have talked with Indians, I've talked with Asians, I've talked with whites. It's automatically a unifying thing. This is why, and we'll get back to Toriyama's unfortunate passing, this is why everybody feels a certain type of way about Toriyama's, I would argue, very early and unfortunate passing. Why? Because when you have a video game, or when you have an anime, like, people come together. People don't have to see. I think that this is something that maybe men do more than women. I can't prove this. But when people will identify more with the message than the messenger, right? So an entire legion of African-American males, right, in America, let alone the Latinos. The Latinos are in a whole other world of Dragon Ball worship, right? They all, the entire legion of African-American men spent the last 20, 30 years effectively worshiping Dragon Ball. They know every plot line. I'm actually one of the people that doesn't know as much about Dragon Ball as some of these other dudes. Everybody knows it, right? You know, Naruto, things like that. There was a whole generation of men and women, but mostly, like, from my perspective, you could ask any of these dudes about Dragon Ball, and they will know it. If they're under the age of 30-ish, maybe 35, you know, maybe 40, they'll know it. They will know all about Dragon Ball. And you could have a full conversation with dudes. You know, you don't have to agree with them on everything, right? But you could have a full conversation about Cell and Frieza and all this other stuff. And Hispanics, like I said, they're in a completely different world of this. You could talk with a Hispanic any year about Dragon Ball. That's crazy important to that. Toriyama might be one of the most bridging people in human history, because the way that he got everyone from all corners of the world to get behind Goku is insane. And I'm not, forget Dragon Quest and Chrono Trigger, which unfortunately are more niche. I like those, but whatever. And Blue Dragon, of course. But, you know, that's what I'm saying, is that most of these people, right, they will know about it. We didn't need to have Goku be a black dude. We didn't need to have Goku be, you know, an Asian guy, or, well, he is Asian, but we didn't need to have Goku be a specific race. People identified with Goku because they identified with the struggle. They identified with just who he was and the character arcs he went through. So when I see people say that you have to sit down and force black people into shit, I just feel disgusted. I feel like this is just like political, like, jerking off for them. Like, oh, well, we were able to take a franchise that had mostly white people in it, and mostly this and mostly that. By the way, they do link the source, right? Terrify them. Terrify them. I want you to really understand the language that she used. Fear, right? Fear. What if there's something in our game that we don't know about? Better get someone, like, it's like when you buy a house, right? Obviously, you have to buy it for insurance and things like that. This is just unfortunately, the gayer, blacker, more feminine version of that. Fear. They want these companies afraid. They do not want them to sit down and say, all right, well, you made a character, you know, like the Stellar Blade lady with tits popping out and she's an attractive woman or whatever. They do not want people to see that. They do not want to run the risk of having this happen. But I want to tell you, this is happening anyway, especially with the people that you are involving. In fact, if we go back to this group, the only game I could think of on here that's good, that did well, was probably Assassin's Creed. This apparently did really well for Ubisoft in 2020. And remember, they supported it up until Mirage, I think, which was last year. So just bear that in mind, right? Just keep that one in the back of your head. That the only game on here that even did well was Valhalla. Every other game in here either has not... Wait, is this even out? This might be out, but right, let's exclude these two. The only other games in here that did well and were kind of reasonably well received were, like, Valhalla. And that's kind of it. Valhalla, I know Ubisoft came out and they said it made them a ton of money. It was like one of their most like successful game launches ever, riding high off of Odyssey. And remember, Assassin's Creed gets all kinds of shit thrown at it, right? I'm fairer. I like it. I like some of these games. Valhalla was not better than Odyssey, though. It might have a better story, which is ironic because, you know, look who worked on it. But it might have a better story and implications for the plot, but maybe they didn't get their talons in it until later. I don't know. The degree to which they fucked with it is unknown, and no one is going to disclose that because no game company is going to step into this ring. And obviously, Sweet Baby is not going to tell you, right? But yeah.
Working in AAA, which I did for many, many years.
I don't know how, but sure.
Put this stuff up to your higher-ups. And if they don't see the value in what you're asking for when you ask for consulting,
if they don't see the value in what you bring,
when you ask for research, go have a coffee with your marketing team and just terrify them with the possibility of what's going to happen if they don't give you what you want.
Think about that. Think about the language being used here. It's such a fucking threat. Dude, even the Mafia was probably more fucking discreet about this until they gunned you down in the street one day. Like, this is insane. And this is at a public conference. People are discovering this now. This is a 2019 GDC session, right? And she's over here telling you, go have a coffee with the marketing team and terrify them. And you know what they mean by terrify. Let's be fair here, right? You know what they mean, okay? This is not like some secret, this is not even code language. This is like Newspeak, which I guess you could argue is code language. But this is not like some secret, like cryptographic language that only like people in the industry understand. Like, we've all seen this happen. We watched it last year with Hogwarts. We watched it last year, and Warner Brothers, like, they couldn't not sell the game, and it made them a ton of money, right? Instead of this game, which literally is just a fucking disaster, right? Just literally a disaster. Meanwhile, Hogwarts Legacy is over here just completely dumping as all kinds of stuff. Best Harry Potter game ever, probably. I don't know what's going to happen. They're going to make a sequel. They're going to do something. Who knows? But I'm actually going to keep this tab open because that's a really good one. Yeah, terrify them, dude. Make them think about stuff that may or may not happen if they don't hire you. This is damn near a fucking threat, especially when you consider... I got too much shit open now. Especially when you consider that they got people that work for Sweet Baby going out and trying to literally rile up mobs to get people effectively canceled and cost them money. This dude got what? How many games is that? He's got 60 new games. I don't know how much he has. He's got a bunch of sessions. This is his year in review, actually. Excuse me. So they're aware. This is literally what they're doing. You have Lego Butts, who was around with Zoe Quinn a decade ago, right? So this was raging on. Let's keep moving because otherwise I'm literally going to be here forever. This might be... Okay, so I actually have a Grums tweet from this, which I'm going to keep this open because I need to download that, actually. It's the same thing. So Grums gave his take on it, which is Sweet Baby used fear, intimidation, and the threat of cancellation to get studios to make their games carry their political narrative. This is the founder's own words.
When you ask for research, go have a coffee with your marketing team and just terrify them.
Just terrify them. Bro, when in business do you just terrify someone to convince them to hire you? Like, the only time I could think of is when they're like, listen, you don't seem to be hiring a lot of black people, right? But like with Mark Cuban having that spat with the rabbit hole, it's like, well, Mark Cuban, you're not hiring non-black people for your basketball team, right? You're not diversifying the whatever fucking team he owns. I have no idea. I think it's the Spurs or something. I don't watch basketball, right? You're not hiring Asian women to be power forwards in the NBA, right? No, you're not. So you know exactly how this swings, especially if you're a dude, if you're white, you know exactly how this swings, right? All right. I guess I'm just going to leave a lot of this. Oh, we don't have to leave this one open. This is just Grums' take, which is fine. So we have more. Obviously, there's fucking more. There's a whole fucking page more of this that I have not gotten through. So we'll try to speed through this a little bit more, right?
Male character for myself in Mass Effect 2, and it felt really, really good. I was like, oh, I can just do this. Pretty much in one of the first playable areas, you have your first fully customized player character, Shepard, and you enter...
This is like describing video games for fucking idiots, by the way. Like, I know that not everyone in this room is going to be a fucking gamer, but like, this is like giving a fucking audio version of a playthrough. Like, you could talk to people in games and they give you quests and they interact with Shepard.
You're a space station and you have to rendezvous with someone named Jacob Taylor.
Oh, Christ.
And Miranda Lawson.
That's literally the first mission.
First. And if you don't know, Jacob is a black man. He's a Marine.
I couldn't tell. You literally, in case you haven't played Mass Effect, I couldn't tell, bro.
And your first interaction with him is like crouching behind cover in like this really close quarters situation for a quick conversation about your next mission. So when it happened the first
next mission, it's literally, we need to escape from here. This is all one mission she's talking about. Like this doesn't even make any sense. This is literally the first mission of Mass Effect 2. Again, I don't want to like poke a billion holes in everything she's saying, but understand that like I played Mass Effect 2, so like this to me is weird. Like the way that they're even describing it is like, what the fuck? It doesn't even make any sense. If you've played Mass Effect 2, you know that this is like within the span of like 5 minutes. Like, I don't even want to pull up my own playthrough, because that would be like, that would just take effort. I mean, that would be like a good thing to do, maybe, but I'm not going to do it. You could go look at it yourself, or you could go play this literal 14-year-old game yourself. But like, this is all in the span of 5 minutes, right? She makes it sound like this is some sweeping thing or something. Like, this is in the span of 5 minutes. I'm not even kidding you.
First time for me, I was like, oh my God, this is powerful and remarkable, because I was looking on screen at these two black characters.
Didn't play Mass Effect 1, clearly.
Meeting and talking one-on-one, and neither of them was cast as a criminal. They weren't a savage. They weren't a stereotype.
That's what they see. I hate to interrupt, but like, come on, bro. Like, I'll agree to that. Like, people will complain about different stereotypes, but they're totally fine with like every black dude, like GTA, in like a GTA game or something, being either a rapper, a porn star, a criminal, right? Like, whatever, sure, fine. That's what a stereotype is, right? That's fine. I think that within the confines of that game, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just funny how no one ever calls it out. So I could agree to that, but like, there's tons of games that do this. The first game lets you do this. This is not new.
They weren't a sidekick. And they were the only two.
The great irony of it is that Jacob is a terrible party member.
Two people on screen in that moment. And it was just like really, really nice. And it was so nice, in fact, that I actually took my phone out and I was like, okay, I'm going to text a picture of this to my best friend and say, hey, isn't this cool? Like, the scene in the game is like one of the rare opportunities. And I got halfway through that text.
Gatekeep tourists.
Before I realized, oh, she's not going to see that. Because her shepherd wasn't a black woman, it was a white woman.
It's almost like when you create a character, it's just your character. This is like me getting mad on 14 and like people don't see the fucking red cat boy that I am because they see their own character. It's like, this sounds more like a therapy session to me, bro. I'm gonna be honest with you. I think she needs therapy. She doesn't need to write for video games. She needs therapy. If you feel like you absolutely have to see yourself in every game and like other people not seeing you in their game is like bad, I think you need therapy, bro. That's the whole point of a fucking player character. Everyone makes one.
And I was about to say, okay, I guess I won't send it, when I thought, no.
By the way, no dude thinks like this. Again, I'll rewind a little bit. No dude thinks like this. No dude is going to sit down and be like, yo, I made a black dude and I was talking with another black dude and it was so fucking cool to have two black people interact in a science fiction game. And I mean, okay, actually, can I go back?
Only two people on screen in that moment. And it was just like, really, really, this is powerful and remarkable, because I was looking on screen at these two black characters meeting and talking one-on-one, and neither of them was cast as a criminal. They weren't a savage.
I'll agree with the savagery, but Jacob literally works for a terrorist organization. Like, that's what Cerberus is. I mean, let's say that she just never heard of Mass Effect before 2, which is entirely possible. Like, Mass Effect 2 definitely kind of doesn't play like the first game, as I've bitched about endlessly. Let's say that she's never played Mass Effect 2, or Mass Effect 1. She only played 2. Cerberus is a terrorist organization. That's like one of the first things that Shepard says, like I think even earlier than that. He might say it during that mission, like, I'm in a Cerberus lab, right? And it's funny because Cerberus is optional in the first game. But like, to say he's not cast as a criminal, he quite literally works for like, how do I say this? It's not like he works for the World War II bad guys, right? But he basically works for a pro-human group in a galaxy that's diverse. Ironically, he works for the fascists a little bit, right? I hate to cast the elusive man like they did in 3, which is just this uncaring, only care about humans type of dude. I firmly believe in Mass Effect 2's vision that he likes or tolerates other aliens, but he pretty much only cares about humanity versus like pretty much wanting to wipe out everyone else. But like, he works for a terrorist organization. You see how that kind of gets left out?
It's like one of the rare opportunities, and I got halfway through that text before I realized, oh, she's not gonna see that, because her shepherd wasn't a black woman, it was a white woman. And I was about to say, okay, I guess I won't send it, when I thought, no, because this is cool for me. And her response was that like, oh, I haven't seen that enough either. That is really, really great for you and really, really cool to see. And so I talked to some other friends about it of various races, and they weren't all targeted by this moment. They weren't all black. And still, I realized that they were excited for me. They were excited just hearing me tell my story. And in Mass Effect...
Good fucking God, this is like a therapy session. But instead of getting therapy, you make a business, and then you try to tell companies, hey, we want money so we can inject our own personal stuff into every game. But the problem is that they can't write worth shit. They can't create anything. All they could do is take someone else's work, and then they drive it into the fucking dirt. Like this is not the first time this has happened either. Suicide Squad, again, is just like the fucking straw on the camel's back. Right? It's been stuff in like Spider-Man 2's story. It's been stuff in all kinds of other games. I mean, like, I just played that clip. I even rewound it. It was an important moment for her to make a black character and talk to another black character. And I guess we weren't wearing do-rags or sitting on the fucking stoop or saying the N-word nonstop. Right? It was an important moment for her to kick back and be like, or well, and by the way she phrases it is completely fucking just incorrect. That's not how the game plays out at all. I mean, you could literally play this game. If you haven't somehow played Mass Effect at this point, one of the most played games, probably the game of the year of 2010 for a lot of people. Like, if you somehow didn't play it, like, she explains it in the most weird and obtuse way possible. So yeah, like, there's tons of other games and stuff where black characters, you can make a black character, you're not portrayed as a criminal, you have a role in the story, you interact with black people. Like what this is, and that's why the comments down here are good. This is just Black Sarkeesian. Except Sarkeesian was about, well, Sarkeesian was a born scammer, but Sarkeesian was about women in games and women. Whereas this is quite literally just like, I saw a black person on screen and they didn't have a do-rag and they weren't shooting people. And for some reason, that's like the peak of existence is a therapy session, bro. This is the CEO. This is the person calling the shots. I don't know what year this is specifically, but this is the person calling the shots. It's quite frankly disgusting, actually. It's pretty bad, honestly, all things considered. It's starting to make a lot of sense. Don't even get me started on this, right? They basically wanted to call Deadshot basically wants to call fucking Green Lantern a raccoon. So, like, that to me is, like, the funniest part about it, is, like, they want to sit over here and say, well, Deadshot is basically writing it. Don't worry, guys. Deadshot doesn't like him. It doesn't matter. If this wasn't written by them, they would say it's problematic. That's the point. It can't just be good when they inject their stuff into it, right? It's got to be all good whether or not they're involved or whether or not they are involved, because they're not making it better. You know, like, it's not getting better at all. So it's just a fucking disaster, bro. Like, I don't know. And yeah, this comment brings up a good point. I remember seeing this earlier, right? If you swap white for black, this becomes like white pride levels. Like, this becomes like the kind of thing that they would run under an undercard. Like, if you Google white pride, you get a different answer for black pride than you do for Asian pride, right? Like, I personally don't feel like whether or not you're black, whether or not you're white, right? I think you should just have that moment because it's a cool human moment. And whether or not you gain anything awesome because you're a black character who's not wearing a do-rag or whatever, that's whatever. I think that's fucking really just stupid. And as a black dude, that just feels fucking weird. Like, it just feels weird to me that, like, First of all, Jacob works for a terrorist organization. Let's be fair here. They spend the entire game telling Shepard, you work for Cerberus now. We can't trust you, right? The fact that you're alive is already suspicious. How do we know you're not a clone, right? But anyway, all that context was just Thanos. You could tell that there was like some weird unresolved trauma revelation that she had about this that just sounds fucking weird. And the only way that she could go about doing it was to cast herself in basically every other game. Oh, it gets worse. Don't worry. We're not done. Group therapy sessions aside. By the way, why do they always give me Walmart deals? Like, I shop from Walmart like once a year, bro. Don't show again. And then they show all the stuff I was looking at, which I don't even shop on Amazon in here, which is kind of insane, honestly. But anyway, where was I? Here we go. So, there was a Sweet Baby employee who went on to Steam. It's great, and she got completely clowned. But anyway, right? Good day, fellow humans. Already reading like it was made by AI or a fucking alien. So this is just already ridiculous. But at least, I will give them credit, okay? They did explain that they do work for Sweet Baby. Now, this kind of exposure, I have to give them a little bit of credit for this, all right? They did come out and they did say, listen, I'm employed by this. Anyway, I came across this Steam group, right, from internal discussions within the company. So you know that this went somewhere, right? It wasn't just Chris Kindred doing whatever, right? This went somewhere. They had an internal discussion, an internal therapy session about some dude getting a bunch of people to follow a curator group that no one would know about if they never said anything, because they couldn't say anything. You have to understand, they can't help but Streisand it. They can't help it. Like they it's in their nature. Their ego will not let them just ignore it. You know, like, people have even told me on Xbox to kill myself. You don't see me fucking losing my mind. I had dudes sending me messages after Call of Duty games and Halo games telling me, oh, well, you're a hacker. You got a 20 kill streak. You must be hacking or something. It's just like, you know, like, that's the internet, bro. People are going to say stupid shit like what I'm reading right now and what I've spent the last hour reading. Anyways, I came across this Steam group from internal discussions. Generally, I wouldn't have the time to openly engage like this, but I feel like the community has taken such a weirdly toxic and unhealthy approach. This wasn't toxic and unhealthy? I hate to stop every 5 minutes. Tag Steam, tag the dude, tag all the stuff, tag his group, tag his literal private account, and then get your fucking psycho friends who were doing this shit 10 years ago to back you up. That wasn't toxic. We're going to skip over that, right? Because that's the narrative that they're going to try to run with now. You're going to see it with Kotaku wrote an article, PC Gamer, Eurogamer. We already showed the Eurogamer article. They're completely skipping everything here. Like you don't have eyes. Like you didn't see it. So shout out to Niche Gamer, because they did something that companies 10 times their size did not do. Like, you don't have fucking eyes. Like, this didn't happen. Like, we all just made this up. It's this mass Mandela experience we all had. All right? All right, so they grit their teeth to sit down and write this, if only because I want to vent and not just to myself in the car or to my colleagues. So here it goes. It's a privately funded organization in whole. We're not solicited for services by companies who are requesting our services. We do not solicit or use tactics of any kind to increase clientele. Lady.
Marketing team, and just terrify them with the possibility of what's going to happen if they don't give you what you want.
Lady, this is literally your CEO. This is your CEO saying that. I didn't make this up. It's literally your CEO. We don't use tactics. They think you are stupid, people. They think you're dumb. Or maybe she just is unaware of this, but they think you're dumb, that you can't find this. You thought that people weren't going to go back and try to figure out who these people are? Bro, y'all are not that good at this. You're not. Oh my God. That's ridiculous. So anyway, the real thing that goes off is that there's no way she could not go out to it's a capitalist society and we do what we do for profit. That is true. You do this for money. A lot of people sell scam insurance and scam products for money. A lot of people do that. That's been all of human history. You know what happens when they get outed as a scam? Like, for example, I think BetterHelp is in a lot of trouble right now because they don't actually do the service that they advertise, right? So BetterHelp is presumably a scam. People lay into it, right? When Gerard the Completionist was pocketing money in an account, right? And I said at best he's negligent and at worst he was trying to steal the money, right? That's a scam, right? That's people giving money. If they knew it, then they wouldn't, if they knew that their money was just going to sit in an account, they wouldn't have given them money, right? And they had all kinds of sponsors and shit, supposedly, right? It's a scam. What you do is for profit, doesn't matter. Anyway, even if we close the doors today, another company would take our place. Oh, yes, that is true. And we would do the same thing. They should do the same thing. We should go out and say, hey, Sweet Baby closes. I guess I'll skip ahead, right? We'll skip ahead and we'll come back to this. I promise. I'm going to forget that I skipped ahead and did this, right? Here's a list of employees, or a list of other companies, right? Black Girl Gamers, Hit Detection, Balance. I thought this was the Balance for a second. I was like, the Balance? Oh my God. Gamer X, Dragon Baby. Hey, look, Sarkeesian's still around, right? All these other ones, right? This is a whole host of companies that all sprung up because, oh, well, actually, you can't even see all of it. So let me back out the thing a little bit. Oop, how do I do that? Shift? I think it's Shift. Whoops. No, it's not Shift. Okay, Shift. It's not Shift. I'm sorry. I forgot. I was holding the Windows key like an idiot. My bad. There you go. This might be a little bit nicer. Right? There's all kinds of consultation groups that come out and they consult on games, right? So clearly the tide is not very in their favor. I mean, most people ultimately will not give a shit, right? But the fact that like you could give an itemized list of 14 different companies, I think I've seen Hit Detection on something before, but I can't remember, right? Oh yeah, no. So, oh, more people will come. So? Oh, well, if we shut down one scammer, 5 more will show up. So? That's like saying, well, you might as well just let us be because we're like the dam that's preventing stuff from going to shit. Well, things are already shit. That's what I'm saying. You can't say we're stopping things from going to shit and then like everything's already going to shit. Then I don't believe you because things are already getting bad. It's like, well, things could be worse. Things are already bad. So like, what else? What else do you want me to say? We're at least one of several dozen companies of this sort that exist in Eastern Canada. Of course, it's Canada. Nothing good comes out of fucking Canada, dude. Now, let me tell you this. Every single AAA game that has come out in the past 10 years has used a service such as ours. Things are starting to make a lot of sense. Things are starting to make a lot of sense. The more I read into this, the more I was thinking in my head, yeah, I'm starting to see this, right? When you have stuff like Wolfenstein 2, and you have stuff like, not Destiny 2, what the fuck was that game called? I don't remember the name. When you had Saints Row is an easy one, right? When you have Forspoken was a big one, right? All these other games, honestly, even some of them are Japanese games, right? It seems like Final Fantasy sometimes is able to skirt away from this, right? Like Creative Business Unit 3, I think 16 was pretty fine with this, right? Think about that. On a basic level, right? The kickback to this should be the consumers don't want this anymore, so it should disappear. Right, that's on the most basic level, but we're giving this heightened everything, heightened priority, heightened privilege, because these people come out and say, well, we're doing this for black people, we're doing this for women, we're doing this for gays, right? But they're not doing a good job. And we could sit here and post numbers for Forspoken and Saints Row and all this shit all day. They're not doing a good job. It's not helping them. It's hurting these companies more than anything. So what are you going to do with this information? Now know that you're not going to buy any new games at all? Or you're going to shrug your shoulders and buy AAA games that are only kind of diverse and only have a few women in the plot? Again, nobody cares that there's women in the plot. They care more that they're well written. Like, I know that every week the woke people discover Samus or Lara Croft or some of these other people. Every week they rediscover this shit and act like dudes wouldn't want to play a Metroid game. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. Dudes have been the purchasers of Metroid games for like 40 years now. Like damn near 37 years they've been buying Metroid games. The reason Metroid is even still around is because dudes like it. And Samus being a girl has not been a secret, whether it's marketing or whatever, since like Metroid 2. Like for real. Like it's not been a secret since like Metroid 2. Like when I was a kid and we had Prime and we had Fusion in the same year, I already knew Samus was a woman because I played fucking Smash Bros, where they make no secret to hide her identity. They made a more of a secret to hide Sheik's identity than they did fucking Samus's. At least you gotta play the whole game, right? Like, Metroid 1 is not a great game, by the way. I don't even like Metroid 1. I like Zero Mission. Like, those remakes are really necessary. I would like one for Super Metroid, but that's one of those unfuckable games. I don't think they're gonna do that. I'm taking a solid guess that the overwhelming majority of humans here are white. So what? This is what it comes back to. White people are bad. It's going to come back to this over and over. Of course, there's nothing wrong with that in essence. But look at it this way, right? People who support this group, whether they know it exists or not, which is insane to say that you support a group whether you know it exists or not, are overwhelmingly white males that have... You couldn't help it. This is just 2016, Trump won the election like verbal diarrhea, bro. Overwhelmingly white males who have a patriarchal and racist view of the world. Some of you may not be Nazis, some of you may hate Nazis, but nonetheless, at least unconsciously follow an outdated patriarchal view of the world. Some of you may hate women, some of you may respect women. You're not good enough, though. You see, you just don't like us, so, you know, you're an overwhelming group of white males who want to run a patriarchy and racist views of the world. Dude, like, at this point, this is just the tried and true line. Everyone I don't like must be a white dude who's a fucking sexist and a racist. That's effectively what it comes down to. Instead of creating new things that are interesting or fun, right? You know, you need to let us go around and fuck up all kinds of characters and all kinds of games, because otherwise the Nazis are going to win. The white males are going to run around and put the women back in kitchens. I'm sorry, it's cut off at the bottom. The white males are going to come around and ruin everything for everyone. Here's the main point. Wait, that's not even the main point. We live in 2024. The times have changed. This is no longer 1999, where gaming was full of overweight, smelly white nerds who couldn't get a girlfriend. They're very, very great assumption, by the way. This is stereotyping in general. Should I stereotype that women didn't care about video games until like 2007, when it became culturally popular to do so? Should I say that they're just all attention seekers that just showed up one day because they wanted to get free attention from thirsty beta males who would throw money at them on gaming streams? Should I say that? Like, look, I get it. We all make fun of this shit for Smash Brothers, but let me tell you, a lot of the dudes that Smash are not white. We all make fun of it. It's really easy to cast like the entirety of game consumers and gamers as this like blob of right-wing white males that are overweight, who don't get money, they don't get women, they don't get pussy. Like, should I start insulting them back on that? Should I start saying about how they're all approaching 40 and menopause? Right? That'd be uncomfortable, right? That'd be kind of fucked, wouldn't it? That'd be kind of really ad hominem. But the first thing that we lead off with, the main point, is that this is no longer the case, right? It shouldn't be the case. But the previous case is like a complete ad hominem against like 3 or 4 different demographics. Dudes will still play a Metroid game. Right? They'll make Metroid Dread is the highest selling game. Everyone knows Samus is a woman. None of this makes any sense. Right? People will still play Lara Croft or Tomb Raider. People will still play games with female characters. That's not the problem. People are going to play Stellar Blade. People are going to play Nier Automata. People are going to play all kinds of games with female main characters. That's not the problem. Right? So upon seeing the changing demographics in their country, oh, well, that's a whole other great replacement topic, bro. That's already something insane. Lashed out consciously and unconsciously throughout their favorite medium of escapism from reality, video games. As said, it's 2024. Gaming and the internet in general is no longer niche. Developers no longer have to use outdated racist and sexist modems to appeal to the target demographic of the 1999 crowd. Are female-centric products not appealing to the same things women liked 10 years ago, 30 years ago? Are they not trying to have like really attractive hot men in all these different female movies? Please find me like a female movie where they have a fat slob and the movie is trying to portray the fat overweight slob as a good dude, and it's not like Channing Tatum or some dude running around like, oh, muscles on peak, everything out there, it's awesome, this is great, right? Why does it always have to be male-dominated things, bro? It's always got to be the male-dominated things that you want to change. And I mean, there is a fair point here, right? Sure, do I want women to play video games? Sure, why wouldn't I want someone who likes the same things I like? But do I want everything to be fucking, well, first of all, doing numbers like this? There was a good idea in here somewhere. It probably didn't involve the Suicide Squad, though. Probably could have had Batman try to save the Justice League and made it a true sequel to Arkham Knight, right? That would have been a good idea. People would have loved it. Could have made it a Wonder Woman game and done the same thing, and people would have loved it. By the way, we're skipping over all this. I want to remind you about that all of this didn't happen in her mind, right? This is just an unmitigated therapy venting because they're like, oh, well, the white men don't like the black women characters. Bro, they didn't like Forspoken because the lady is cringe. They didn't like it. They thought it was lame. They thought it was bland. They thought it was uninspired. This Marvel tier, Rick and Morty tier humor. It's not funny. That's why people didn't like it, right? And also, why wouldn't you want to have attractive people in your shit? Like, why would you want to have people like the Fable lady in here? Like that don't even look like women. Like, just, I'm sorry, they don't. You know, they have all these models come in, these real life women come in. They go up on a camera, they get the mocap shit put on them, they scan their face into the game. These people are putting their image out there for the world. And then the best you could do is to do what you did to the lady who played Mary Jane? You make her look like a Sith Lord? The best you could do is the lady who modeled the Fable chick. Aloy is another one that has her face completely butchered, right? Why is it that the Japanese can do it almost 1-to-1? The Japanese, when they do scans of Jill's actress, and Ada's actress, and the model for Claire, right? They have no problem. They could do it, no problem. They do it fine. Kojima did it in 2008 with Guns of the Patriots. Metal Gear Solid 4, all the women that are the villains in that game, I forget what they're called because it's the same thing in every game, right? They look exactly like their real world actresses. And that's a 2008 game. That's over a decade ago. Kojima was doing it flawlessly. You have people in Half-Life that look exactly like their real life counterparts. And somehow we're unable to do that. They can't figure that out. They can't do that anymore for some reason. That's why people are mad. People aren't mad because there's female protagonists. Why are you butchering these women? That seems like way more of an incelish thing to do than anything that the people are saying in return. Why wouldn't you want to put attractive people in your game? That doesn't mean everyone in your game needs to be a supermodel, but especially the main characters, why wouldn't you? Right? Even when they adapted Ready Player One, they put 2 reasonably attractive people in the fucking main roles, right? And that's different than how it was in the original source material. And then we run into the crazy line, okay? I'm going to skip ahead a little bit, right? Because this is all cope. This is insane fucking cope. If you do not want to buy a game because it has a BIPOC or woman main character, that's okay. It's your money. Do what you want with it. This is a free country. Well, they are doing it, and this is just the one I have on hand. I could pull up Forspoken. We could go into Saints Row. They are. You might want to be careful with that. They keep doing it. They keep pulling the Gillette. They keep pulling the Bud Light. Be careful. People might. They might. They might just say, you know what? Why am I going to buy this? And leave. And then you're going to be like looking like shit's like what? Like what's happening? If you don't want to buy a game, yeah. Hey man, this movie's not for you. Oh, why did no one watch Birds of Prey? Hey man, this movie's not for you. We made this to spite the fans. Why do people not like it? They keep doing this. It happens with the Halo show, Avatar, Cowboy Bebop, right? All kinds of shit. One Piece barely escaped this fate. One Piece barely. It didn't come out unscathed, but it barely escaped this fate. Barely. Right? There are millions upon millions of women in BIPOC who want to buy video games and who want to be represented. Cool. There's nothing wrong with that. Just don't take other people's franchises. That's not hard. Go make your own games, right? Like, as much as I'm going to give shit or be given shit for this, right? Like, what's this? I forget this guy's name. It's like Salim something, right? Can I open this in a new tab? Right? Like, he went out, he wanted to make his own game. For what credit it's worth, he went out and he did his own thing to make his own game. Why can't we do more of this? Right? Is it really out? Oh shit, no, it's coming. You could pre-order it for cheaper. Okay, that's what I knew it was I knew it wasn't this month. Yeah, it's April, right? I'm not gonna buy it on fucking Steam though. I'm probably gonna buy it somewhere else. But yeah, you know, for credit for what it's worth, he went out, he made his own game. Abu Bakr Salim. Thank you. That's what it is, right? And it's a story about loss. So maybe this game will be really good. Maybe it'll be ass. I don't know. But for what credit it's worth, he went out and he did his own thing. He went out and he made a brand new game that features something completely almost untouched. You almost never see like African lore and African mythology and things like that in video games. You almost never see it. That is a wholly untapped thing, a wholly untapped vein of creativity and inspiration that they haven't even gotten into, right? They could totally do this. That could be like the blaxploitation era for video games. And they could make good writing, right? You could feel like you're playing something cool. Now, again, I look at some of this stuff like copium, right? Like Black Panther, I feel like was pure Marvel copium. I did not like Black Panther. I like the villain. I like Killmonger. I don't really like most of the movie. I don't really care, though. It's whatever. I don't really care about Marvel stuff in general. The soy boys want to soy boy out over it. That's fine. I thought white people wearing dashikis to the I thought white people wearing dashikis to the debut of it was funny. Yeah, I don't really care. But like this is the kind of shit I'm talking about. We should do more of this with less of this. We should have more of, hey, I'm a black dude. I want to make a game that appeals to my culture, right? Whatever it is. You know, if it's important to you or not, you should do it. And like I'm playing Prince of Persia right now. Again, another game that they gave him the fucking Killmonger hairdo. I know, but the game is really good actually. The game is actually really fun. It's got a lot of really in-depth combat, really high-level gameplay that you could pull off, and it's got a really well-done, beautiful world. I actually really enjoy playing Prince of Persia Lost Crown. It's a very fun game. Sorry, I've been talking for like 2 hours. Let me get a drink real quick. But yeah, why can't we do more of this? And of all people to publish it, it's fucking EA, which drives me up a wall. Yeah, absolutely. But, you know, never mind. It's just white people, right? So, yeah, I mean, if you want representation, then you should make this game a fucking billion-dollar game, right? This game should fly off shelves. Here is your perfect opportunity to get behind a dude who firmly believes in his game. He passed up other opportunities because he wanted to do something that was important to him, right? Here is your opportunity. I said the same thing about Metroid. You could do the same thing with Metroid. You could make Metroid a billion-dollar franchise. Instead of bitching about it, you should go out and buy it. Because I'll tell you right now, every time Metroid shows up, I buy it. I love it, except for Federation Force, which is crazy because Federation Force didn't have Samus in it. So you would think if people are as racist and as sexist as they are, they would have bought the shit out of Federation Force to send a message that like, hey, we don't want Samus in the game anymore. Or if nothing else, they wouldn't have bought Dread. They would just not buy Metroid games, and Metroid would just fade into the background like F-Zero. Or like some of these other franchises, which clearly has not happened because Dread was the most fast-selling Metroid game in history. And that was the latest one. So again, it's all bullshit. They want different stories they can relate to. The white man killing people and taking advantage of women games are a long dead trope. What game are they taking advantage of women? Custer's Revenge? Are we going to have the once every few years knowledge that some feminist discovers Custer's Revenge? A game so heinous that even in the fucking 80s, when it came out, people thought it was overkill? Like, what is this? The Custer's Revenge type fucking thing? White man killing people? San Andreas exists? All these games exist. This is just fucking cope. This is why I don't take these people seriously. I don't even think they're really people. I just think they're NPCs. Like, I genuinely believe that. I don't even think that these people are almost people anymore sometimes. Like, because once you, like, most of this could be whatever. You could just excuse them. Not really. I mean, we start off with the fucking capitalist bullshit, right? But once you get to this line down here, it's like, oh, God, you already know where this is going. I've listened to enough crazy-ass women say this in my life, even before fucking Trump derangement syndrome, that I'm going to listen to it for the rest of my life now. So, yeah, like we don't bring up, what game is this, right? Is saving a woman taking advantage of her? Is having a love plot line in a video game taking advantage of the woman? Two fictional characters who don't even exist having a consensual relationship, and they don't look ugly, and they both happen to be white? Is that like some evil fucking thing now? Really? Like, is that where we're gonna go with this? Instead of, you know, at least for whatever it's worth, at least they put their fucking money where their mouth is, and they put themselves out there with this. There's obviously other games. There was some other African, like, side-scroller, beat-em-up RPG, right? I don't remember all of it, right? If you want to say that this is fucking black copium, I could understand that, right? I could understand that. But at least, for what it's worth, Salim and his team put their money where their mouth is. which is more than what a lot of these people do, whose only job is to take stuff and ruin it, right? So anyway, I mean, like, there's not really much for me to go on. This whole paragraph is just white men bad, you know, straight men bad, everything you guys do. We want to have this, and this, but then they won't buy the games that support the point. They won't buy Metroid. They won't buy all these games. I'd be surprised if they buy Tales of Kinzera. Why don't they just buy the game and never play it? They just see that people are having fun over here, and it's cool to come into, you know, male-dominated spaces and try to make them diverse, but they would never make a female-dominated space diverse like this. They would never do that. They would never have a bunch of men come in and yell about fucking Sex in the City and what Sex in the City should fucking have. They would never do that. They would never listen to them. They would never take that seriously. If a bunch of men showed up and was like, you know, Sex in the City is pretty white woman based, right? Maybe you should hop off your SSRIs and make something that appeals to men. They would never take it seriously. They would basically say the same thing they're saying here in reverse. Well, we're not allowed to have this. I don't want to make that her argument, but you know they would. It's all a bunch of bullshit. It's all a bunch of ridiculousness, dude, and you know it. And it's at its core, it's racism, it's sexism at its core. And the way that they'll get around is by saying you can't be racist to white people and you can't be sexist to men, which is bullshit. Which is flat bullshit. Right? So anyway, this happened. Let's see. We kind of already went through this. This is just a big racist tirade against white men, right? Absolutely disgusting. But I mean, that's the kind of behavior that you would expect from a predominantly left-leaning person, especially working in game development, especially working for a company like this. That's what you'd expect. So, I'm not going to go into that. Let's go into Kotaku. Oh, wait, I think I have this backwards, maybe. Let's see. Because Grum's talked about it. I couldn't find the Kotaku article. I was trying to find it before this happened. Actually, I'm going to keep this open, because I'm gonna archive most of this, because I'm going to pull this out. So Kotaku wrote an article, basically. They just said gamers started to harass it. And like Grum says, people know. People know, bro. Like, this is obvious. This is blatant. I hate to... I'm going to stop going to it every 5 minutes. But you already know. I went through it like an hour ago at this point. 2 hours ago. Right? People know. This is not like Gamergate, where like most people weren't on Twitter. They just heard... They just heard this, basically. It's very easy for people to just accept, well, I guess a bunch of white men are being uppity because, you know, white rage and all this other stuff. It's just lame, bro. Like, find new fucking material, man. Find new fucking material. Because this is what I see. I see bullying of this caliber, right? Especially this. I don't see white people do this shit, man. Even when I was a kid, some of the dudes I was talking to about video games were white as fuck, bro. That's what we bonded over. We all liked video games. They somehow took one of the most diverse, inherently diverse projects. Instead of saying, all right, let's have some female games. Maybe we'll cover up some of the boobage. You know, I don't feel comfortable making my character have that much tittage. If they want to do it with Lara and all these other characters, sure, whatever. But if I'm not doing it with mine, I'd be like, okay, that's fine, right? Make your own shit. Be the change you want to be in the world, right? Okay, that's fine. Instead, they gotta hijack other people's shit. And then Kotaku blames it. And if you speak out, you're harassing. So, I mean, like, honestly, I don't give a fuck about Kotaku. I haven't cared about them in 10 years, and I still don't. So, whatever, it is what it is. I could not find the article, but yeah, I'm more surprised that people even read Kotaku. So, Grums has been all over this, obviously, right? So we have a Kotaku senior editor, right, show up. And then now we're getting into the more personal stuff, right? Kotaku editor shows up, starts following her, starts following him, starts stalking him, everything, right? And so what ends up happening, yeah, a lot of people believe that they will listen to us. That's not going to happen. It's fucking propaganda, right? So she shows up, she follows him, she privates her stuff, whatever. I don't really know how privating and protecting works on Twitter, because I don't even give a fuck about this Twitter, to be honest with you. And then she immediately unprivates and unfollows him. Weird. Very weird behavior. I don't know if I'll find it down here. It's somewhere in here. So she responds to him and is like, do you have a day job? Basically. Oh, shit. Do you have a day job? Right? Mind you, look at who this man is. Right? Do you know how much... Okay, it's up here. Oh, no, it's gone! It's gone! Oops, I should have probably fucking... Here you go. I have the pseudo link. I don't know if I could find it. but she does have it on the thing. Like Google Docs saves a snapshot of the fucking thing. Now, obviously, I don't know if how they removed it or what. If it's because I'm following him or not. I'm whatever. I don't really care that much. But she's like, do you have a day job? Basically, do you is what you do? Like, do you have a day job of it? And so Grums is over here like, can you tell me why you omitted Sweet Baby's harassment and TOS violation of Cabrutus or Cabrutus Rambo and an attempt to ban their Steam account from your article? You explain why you failed to comment on the racist and homophobic remarks by SBI employees, Sweet Baby Incorporated. Are you named in the Disney lawsuit for falsely accusing Gina Carano, which is in and of itself, that would be wild if she's over there doing that. That's another topic. I'm not going to get into Gina Carano's shit. I feel bad for her, and we all know why she wasn't hired back. It's bullshit, but that's another topic that has nothing to do with this, and I'm trying not to have this be a 3-hour podcast, right? Yeah, can you tell me why you omitted this? Like literally, this is important context. It's a propaganda piece. To not even mention this is straight propaganda. To not mention this is straight propaganda, dude. And again, like that's just really shitty. I mean, it's beyond shitty. It's not just bad faith, right? It's not even just like I made a mistake. It's not bad faith. It's intentionally trying to set up the narrative so that they can run to their big friends at Kotaku. They could run to their big friends at Eurogamer. They could run to their big friends at fucking PC Gamer and can say, wah, the evil white gamers are being angry at us again, guys. The evil white gamers won't listen to us, and I'm going to need more therapy and need to ruin some more games, guys. We can't do anything anymore, guys. They're talking about us. They're pulling up the stuff that we did years ago, guys. It's not working this time. It's not gonna work because there's too much. People learned maybe back in 2014, yeah, maybe they were being a little mean to fucking Zoe Quinn and the 5 dudes that were having sex with her and then writing reviews about her article. Yeah, maybe they were being a little bit unfair to them. Maybe. I mean, if you followed it, you already knew. But like, that's besides the point. Sure, I'll follow them. Fuck it. Right? This time, not so much. This time it's too obvious. Like, look, even if you work at WB and you don't give a shit about any of this, you have to look at this and be like, well, what are we going to do? Even if you just work at WB, if you're on a financial call, right, a business call, presumably to your investors, right, and the people who are supposed to be giving you money so they could keep, you can make money so they could keep getting money, right, and just everything's supposed to roll uphill, even you have to know, bro. Even you have to see the writing on the wall. Like, Assassin's Creed might have a little bit of a shield because it's a big company, but, like, this cannot fly, bro. This is bad. First of all, why is Deadshot even black in the Arkhamverse? He's white in Arkham City. I even said this in the playthrough. Or if not, I said it somewhere. But, like, why is Deadshot black? It doesn't even make any fucking sense. Because Will Smith played the character. Anyway, I'm sure there's some really stupid in-universe explanation for it, right? Yeah, why did you omit this? I was able to find it. Why are they omitting it? What kind of journalism are you doing? And this is a senior editor, by the way. Let's see, if I open this in a, what is it called? It might be because I followed him. She might have anyone set to, nope, doesn't exist, okay. All right, so we're probably not going to be able to get her other tweet up, which got community noted. Yeah, it's gone. So she has privated her everything. She basically said you cannot be racist to white people. Now, I know a lot of people personally that believe that, and I genuinely, heartfeltly have listened to everything that they've had to say about. Usually it's black people. Sometimes you get a rogue Asian person in there, right? And I genuinely, heartfelt, from the bottom of my heart, just want to say, go fuck yourself. I mean that sincerely, by the way. No apologies on that. If you will sit around and bitch about black people have been this and black people have been that, and the first thing you do is exclude someone on the basis of color, go fuck yourself. I mean that genuinely. That is such a shitty fucking thing to do. To say that, well, you're white, so I don't take your opinion on it, when it's something universal. Like, if you want to talk about your experience, because I know in my experience, I have been discriminated against. I've been discriminated against black people, and by white people, and by Asians, and by all kinds of other races, right? All kinds of everything. You can't argue someone's experience, right? I could think it's stupid. Like when she's over here giving a conversation about Mass Effect or whatever, right? And how she was blown away. I think it's dumb. I think you need therapy, but that's her experience, right? If her experience is she's so blown away by this, whatever. That's her experience. Does that automatically give her clout and credence to go work on a billion games and inject her, effectively her therapy and trauma into it? Of course not. But if that's her experience, like, I gotta say that it might be stupid, but I'm not going to sit here and say that's not true, right? Like, that's how she feels, right? There was a guy, I think, who wrote an article about how God of War made him want to have a kid. And at first you want to laugh at it. But then I thought about it and I was like, you know what? Maybe some people just have a coming to Jesus moment, not literally, right? But like a coming to God moment where they're like, you know, I want to have a kid because I saw it in a piece of media, right? Maybe the media did impact him beneficially, right? It made him realize something latent that I want to actually have a kid. I want to have that moment where I share the positives and the ups and then I share the downs and the negatives, right? Sure, I'll take it. Why the fuck not, right? That's their experience. How you feel about something is up to you. Now, when you project it onto the world and you start to say certain things, I don't really necessarily agree with that, especially when you intentionally go around and say shit like this, right? So, and obviously community noted, not that she cares, obviously, I mean, she already privated her shit. But yeah, you know, white people, man, fuck those people. Fuck those people because they own slaves, implying that black people and other races don't still own slaves to this day. You know, fuck those people, you know, all these evil white people over here, you know, they're terrible people because their ancestors may or may not have owned slaves. Like, it's just so lazy, man. It's just so fucking lazy at this point. Oh, well, they're evil because their ancestors personally whipped my ancestors. Bro, I say this as a black person. Get over it! Get the fuck over it, dude. You're all older than I am. Get over it, dude. I don't care. I'm so sick of this. It just gets tiring to a point. Maybe a couple years ago I wouldn't have been as vocal about it. I don't care. Get over it. I genuinely mean it. You can't be racist against white people. They had that one movie where they were, what is it, Dear White People or whatever, where they're like, black people can't be racist, bro. Get the fuck over it. Black people have been just as racist as every other race of fucking people, bro. You have no idea how many black people I talk to, how many black people even in my family have been absolutely abhorrently racist to white people who did nothing to them. Nothing. Just normal people just trying to live their lives the best they can with the shitty hand they've been dealt. I hate it. It drives me up a fucking wall the way these people immediately turn on white people and say that they're basically demons and they don't deserve this and stuff. And white people are just so fucking cucked in the modern day. Most of them take it lying down. So I end up in this weird situation where I know tons of people, you know, even back 10 years ago, who were chill people and we could all talk about stuff and we didn't have to agree with it. You know, we could argue about stuff or whatever. But ultimately, you know, I'm not sitting here and trying to tell them that their worldview is wrong because of the color of their skin. This is blanket fucking racism. And we have allowed it to become acceptable to completely dismiss someone's opinion and someone's take and someone's experience based purely on the fact that they're white or because they're a man. You should see how many posts on Twitter go up. You cannot be sexist to men. Misandry doesn't exist. Bro, the shit is crazy. It's absolutely crazy. And when people think that way, they also feel like they could say whatever they want to these people, and it's okay because they can't experience it. You know, I've talked with women who have said men can't experience love. We don't have wombs. We can't carry children. Our feeling of love is fake. It doesn't exist in our heads. We can't love someone, truly. You know, I've talked with people, like I said, when, you know, only reason you play games with women in it is because you want to jerk to them. It's insanity. They think it's okay to say that. And like, it's okay. That's your mindset. So whatever they say, or like whatever they say to you is justified. And you can't argue it out of their head. You can't say, well, no, I've been playing Metroid since before you were born. No, can't say that. Doesn't exist. So yeah. This is a senior editor for Kotaku, by the way. If you thought Kotaku had any credibility, or, you know, you should listen to Kotaku, clearly my 10 years of not really giving them any clicks at all, if ever, and I'd rather archive the page than actually click onto it, you know, or find an archive of it, you know, clearly that's been going well for them. Yeah, you can't be racist against white people, you know. That's great. You can't be sexist against men. You can't be whatever ism against straight people. Yeah. And then obviously when she posted a take this fucking brain dead, all right? She's over here saying, oh, well, people, you can't win with conspiracy theorists that live in echo chambers. Woman that literally lives in an echo chamber, right? Posting screenshots of a death threat, right? And all that stuff. Yeah, they want to know. Yeah, dude, you think that the average person doesn't get death threats on the internet? You think Cabrutus didn't get a death threat? You think that all these other people on the internet, whether you like them or not, don't get death threats? Kyle Rittenhouse still gets death threats to this day, right? Like all these other people, you think that Trump doesn't get death threats nonstop? You think that even Brandon doesn't get death threats? Come on, bro. Everyone gets death threats. Welcome to being on the internet. They used to mail it into you. If you worked at a newspaper, they would mail the shit into you. So the internet just sped up the process and magnified it. So when people love you, you'll know when they love you, right? You'll know that when you do something cool by the internet standards, you'll know 100-fold overnight. And when you do something fucked up, you'll know 100-fold overnight. All it did was speed up the process. Same shit. So like if people are sending her death threats, like you could post them. I don't doubt that maybe she's even gotten one or two. Do I think that she's getting a deluge of it? I don't think so. I'm honestly not going to give her the benefit of the doubt, considering this was the last thing that I've seen her post. This is the last thing I've seen her post. So of course I'm not going to give her the benefit of the fucking doubt. Of course not. But even if it's true, get over it. That's the internet. Until someone fucks with you in real life, like what they did to like Dave Chappelle and other people like that, I don't care. I genuinely don't care anymore. I just don't. Dave Chappelle had a dude run up on him with a fucking knife that looked like a gun, right? As far as we're concerned, he could have had a gun and shot that dude, and he would be dead right now, right? Whatever you think about Dave Chappelle, some dude tried to kill him basically for clout. Some dude tried to kill him because he's a controversial figure, right? This is not a defense of Chappelle, even though I like him and I think he's fucking hilarious. I will just say that someone tried to kill him. They rushed him on stage. They tried to kill him. Could you imagine if Lizzo got rushed on stage? How the fucking backlash and how crazy it would be? Could you imagine? Well, they probably make it disappear because if a black dude did it, that doesn't fit the narrative, right? But, whatever. That's all been memory hold. That happened like 2 years ago. And that's the irony of it, is that Chappelle will say Twitter's not a real place, and then someone tried to kill him because of shit that fomented and grew on Twitter, right? Like that's what's kind of weird to me about it. Like, I'm not saying he's wrong, but someone did try to kill him for Twitter clout. Someone did try to get clouded killing him on stage, live in front of people, in a very traumatic way. That did happen. That almost did happen. So, like, until someone fucks with you on that level, like, even just egging your house, right? Like, until it actually happens, because these people will fake it, right? It's like the people drawing swastikas on their own synagogues to say that, people hate them, right? Until that actually happens and they actually can prove that someone did it to fuck with them, right? I don't care. I don't care. Most of this is going to disappear in 2 months anyway. I think the sentiment will continue, but do I think anything's going to change? Probably not, right? I think you're just going to see this grow and grow. I think you're starting to see it grow again. People are very discontent with it, all because of this. If he had never done this, I think they would have flown under the radar. So we should actually thank Chris Kindred. We should thank him. Right? So you're telling me all these people, all these screenshots, you can't take a single screenshot of like 10 people telling you to kill yourself and even just post it just for proof? Very interesting. Very interesting that they're unable to do that, but they could spend all day, this is someone else, but they could spend all day talking about this and stuff, right? You can't even get false flaggers, people to make fake accounts to do this? Really? Sure, I believe you. I believe him on principle alone, right? And then we also have another employee of Sweet Baby. The whole team, they had a therapy session, right? So going back, before I go forward, they had a therapy session. Where was it? Where is it that they said that we had a company, or, we did this or whatever. I wanted to have a talk, right? It was somewhere in here, right? Here we go. If only, yeah. So they wanted to do some shit with this, right? They had a talk about, I don't want to vent to my colleagues. They had a fucking talk about this in their fucking studio, for sure. Oh shit, why'd I cover that up? Anyway, this is exactly what you'd expect. They're all doubling down about it. You could go play video games instead of joining a weird cult and being wrong about everything. Bro, my dude, you work for a cult. And by the way, it's exactly everything you'd expect from someone of this caliber. You already know. Right? I'm not, do I even need to mention it? Do I even need to mention the bio? Do I even need to mention the appearance? You already know, bro. It's the same shit. We've all seen this before. If you've been cognizant for the last several years, you already know, bro. It's just gross. This dude is over here like, dude, oh, the best part. Hold on, let me pull up this one. This is a good one, right? Yeah, go play video games. Go play the video games I work on, right? Yeah, you know, posing in front of Suicide Squad copies. Bro, your game is a flop, bro. Your game is a flop so bad, the dudes that you worked for are saying it's fallen short. It's a flop, bro. How are you gonna flop DC fucking game? How are you gonna flop a DC game in the Arkhamverse, bro? How are you gonna do that? Oh, they're so happy about it, bro. They love it. They absolutely love it. They're on peak fucking performance right here. All these copies of Suicide Squad. It's a game that's doing so fucking well that if we go to Steam, and if I bungle opening a new tab, right? There you go. Can't even spell it. Yeah, look at this. The game is already on sale for 40% off. Bro, it just came out. It just came out. It's not even a month later, the game is 40% off. Because they really want motherfuckers to buy it. Think about that. Think about that shit. This is not a Steam sale, right? The Steam sale hasn't occurred yet. The game is already off because they are so desperate for motherfuckers to play this game. They're desperate. Where's the Curator, dude? I have less shame in admitting to porn games than I do with this game, bro. Yeah. The player base is so dead. That's exactly why. Because there's so few fucking people playing it, the dudes that are playing it have to say it's good. What else are they going to do? The only people left playing it, again, the chart looks something like this. The only people left playing it are the people that think it's good. Everyone else on PC has left. They either refunded it or they just don't care and they don't play it anymore. Yeah, this is the game that he's so proud of. It's a flop. It's literally a flop. We call games that do better than this flops. So my dude in the cult is over here throwing shade at other people who want to go play games. Yeah, people are playing games. Oh, hell yes, people are playing video games. Oh yeah, people are playing video games. Absolutely. We could just go down the chart. I closed the tab because I'm fucking up now. Dude, oh yeah, people are playing games. 1 million people on Counter-Strike. Over 500,000 on Dota. Helldivers probably, at a little bit of a slump because it's middle of the day. People are out doing stuff. PUBG still up there. Apex surprisingly still up there. GTA 5, right? All these games. Baldur's Gate. Palworld still in the top 3 or top 10. Sorry, top records. Look at all these games. I've never even heard of Goose Goose Duck. What the hell is that? I have no idea. Right? All these games. Some of these games are experiencing what the fuck is this game? What is this game? This is like some Chinese or Asian game that I've never even heard of. Love Choice? This sounds like a porn game. And it's having a bigger surge, bro. Percent-wise, at least. Mortal Kombat had a surge because I think they just released Peacekeeper or something. Right? All these other games are doing amazingly. Helldivers is popping off. This is a decade-old game, literally, right here. This is a 10-year-old game. Didn't even come out in the last 10 years. It's going to be an 11-year-old game and a 12-year-old game by the time the sequel comes out, right? Counter-Strike, for fuck's sake. Yeah, no, we could go play video games. Yeah, but they're not playing yours, motherfucker. Stupid asshole. They're not playing your piece of shit. That's the problem. Y'all consulted on Rocksteady for 9 fucking years. And this was the best that you could come up with? Rocksteady should be ashamed. WB should be ashamed. A bunch of motherfuckers making this did better. This development commenced in 2018. It was a 5-year game, bro. 5-year. And they had a literal boycott. Oh, so here we go. The revenue reached 1 billion. That doesn't mean profit. That just means revenue, okay? Shouldn't say that the profit was 1 billion. The revenue reached 1 billion. But I'm going to say they broke even. All right? Oh, I'm sorry. This is as of May 5th of last year. I thought this was May of this year. I forgot that we're in March. 12 million in 2 weeks. 850 million. Right? And the only cope that they could say is, well, people aren't playing it right now. Actually, that's a good point. That's a good point. How many people are playing this game? Dude, there's more people on a fucking single player game that has been dead for a year, bro. There's more people. It doesn't even go back far enough. Huh. All-time peak of 527,000. What's Suicide Squad's peak? I'm sorry, that's Helldivers. So actually, this had a bigger peak. Interesting. Okay. Remember, this is only PC, by the way. We are only looking at the PC results. Actually, can I keep these both open? I'm gonna need that probably for later. Bro, your all-time peak is nothing compared to the actual, like, transsexual killer 9,000. Mind you, this is a game with finite content. Once you play the game, you beat the story, the only thing left to do are to pick up collectibles, right? And once you do that, that's it. I don't even think there's a new game plus. You know what I mean? Like, there's no new game plus in this game. That's it. Once you play this game, it's done. It's over. And even this game, as of right now, has more people playing it. Think about that. People beat this game, right? You can see people gradually, like every single player game, which apparently these people are so disingenuous. They act like every single player game forever has all-time peaks all the time, 100%. People beat it. People play it, they get their fill, or they beat it. And then they move on. They play the next game. You think as many people are still playing like fucking Bloodborne as they were 10 years ago? No. You think as many people are playing Ocarina of Time as they were 40 years ago or 30 years ago? Of course not. Shit, time changes. People move on. They play new shit. And this game has finite content. So yeah, they had a really ridiculous drop off. That's because people bought it. They played it. Most people beat these games in a fucking week or two, bro. 5 years of development, they beat the game in like a month. Not even. And so yeah, you have a drop off. And it's higher. Think about that. Still, it's higher, right? Here, let's keep going. I'm gonna keep going with this, and then we're gonna be done, I guess, after this topic, because I'm gonna go record after this. Batman Arkham Knight, a game released 9 years ago. As you can see right here, it has gained 4% more players, and its 30-day average has increased. Right? That's about 150 more people playing it on average. Batman Arkham City has seen a resurgence. Arkham Asylum, even Arkham Origins. Motherfuckers don't even remember Arkham Origins when it came out. Motherfuckers hated this game. Motherfuckers did not like Arkham Knight on PC. Remember, it was broken on PC when it came out. I remember that. Yeah, this game was fucked when it came out. And it has gained so many people. It gained an 81% boost after Suicide Squad. Here's where the people you're trying to appeal are. They don't want to play as Harley Quinn. They don't want, and I could get into things about Suicide Squad. I could talk about how Harley Quinn is like, I would never wear that outfit, right? She pulls a Dante from DMC 2013. Remember when people got real mad about that? They were, edgy Dante was like, fuck that. I would never wear the red coat and the white hair or whatever, right? She does that. Notice how that has just been completely glossed over because of everything to do with this. They cannot handle their work being called shit because it is shit. Because it is bad. All right, we're running out of Sweet Baby topics. I'm going to stop after this because this is already 2 hours. This is an episode all on its own, right? Let's see. There you go. We're just going to drive some of the points home, right? And then we're going to get into the Toriyama thing, which I alluded to earlier, right? Sweet Baby employees didn't want a Steam page shut down. They also want people to report his account saying, seeing as he loves his games so much. I mean, like, literally, that's what this guy says. Report the creator since he loves his account so much. Obviously, his account hosting the games, right? You get games registered to your account. So, yeah, they wanted to rob this guy of thousands of dollars. No one cared. Kotaku didn't care. Eurogamer didn't care. PC Gamer couldn't care. They couldn't even put a line like saying gamers and in Sweet Baby go back and forth, right? And then just say like, well, Chris Kindred may have done something wrong. They couldn't even do that. They couldn't even like mention it and phrase it as like, well, Chris did this, but they did that. They couldn't even do that, bro. That's why people are upset. Because some game developer wanted to push someone out of existence. Let's just call it what it is, okay? Let's just be completely fair here. We're all adults. We could all talk about this. That is exactly what happened. They wanted to rob this guy of games because he disagreed with them and made a curator group they did not agree with. Call it what it is. By the way, no agency. No agency, by the way, obviously. Yeah, and again, normal people They wish the same for all of us. They could literally cost you. First of all, this is a massive argument for owning your games physically, but with Steam, that's just not possible. So Steam thankfully made the correct choice. Okay, sorry, I had a little bit of a coughing fit. So Steam made the correct choice in this case, right? They said, hey, you know what? We're not going to remove that, right? Cabrutus, right? Cabrutus. There you go. Where is it? Posting a bunch of shit. Oh yeah, we're gonna get to this. We're gonna get to this in a minute. I'm gonna leave that open for a minute. You know, I don't mind that he has a live streaming thing now. That makes sense to me. Let's see. Yeah, apparently It's Kindred got suspended, but I think they have their account back now. Well, now we're just spoiling what's coming up next, which is ridiculous, but whatever. I mean, it's unfortunate. It's not his fault. Yeah, so Valve, right, came out and was like, no worries, we're happy to assist you because we provide all the information. I'm closing this help request, right? He's not going to get banned. Think about that. Valve had, and again, he's from Brazil. That's why it's, you know, in a different language, right? Think about that. Valve, they basically petitioned Valve, hey, we disagree with this dude politically. We want him banned. That's pretty much what it was. That's exactly what this is, right? But yeah, let's get into the Toriyama thing because Chris Kindred wasn't satisfied with pissing off the entirety of the gamerverse by trying to get a dude banned. Let's be fair here. Wasn't happy enough with that. That wasn't good enough, okay? So Akira Toriyama, who is the creator and the mind behind Dragon Ball, Dr. Slump, you know, Chrono Trigger, Blue Dragon, and Dragon Quest, they had a hand, Toriyama had a hand with as well. You know, just this great, outstanding guy. Like I said earlier, you know, with representation and the messenger, right? Dudes will see Goku, they'll be black as fuck, they'll be darker than me, and they will identify the shit with Goku. They will say Goku's cool, it's awesome to see him do that. They'll be able to recount every plot point of that fucking show. Like they watched it yesterday. They're like they watched it 5 minutes ago. They will be able to recount every plot line of that show. They love that show. They love Toriyama. You have Latinos across the entire world. Tons of Hispanics love the shit out of Dragon Ball. One of my best friends, two of my best friends, Hispanics, and love Dragon Ball. They know way more about Dragon Ball than I do. All right, so here comes It's Kindred. Toriyama gave us the best and worst black characters in an anime in the same series. It took range to do that. Basically saying he's a racist. You know, just typical things. Because again, we're pointing to Mr. Popo. Mr. Popo is based off of a Hindu god. Long story short. Mr. Popo is inspired by it. So yeah, tons of black people all know who Mr. Popo is, as irrelevant as some of these early characters become later in the series. They'll show up. They don't really do as much. Let's be a little fair here. It's like a lot of Dragon Ball just doesn't even come back in Dragon Ball Z. Let's be fair. If you start watching from Z, you could kind of skip most of Dragon Ball. But anyway, you think that people don't know who this is? You know? Imagine that. Imagine saying that this dude, by the way, we waited until he was dead and relevant so we could get clicks, basically. Right? We waited until they were dead, relevant, and in the fucking ground. Right? And that's when we decided to pull out, oh yeah, Toriyama was actually racist, by the way. Like, who thinks like this, right? Like, let's be completely honest here. People obviously love Toriyama, right? Toriyama is not like a political figure. He's not a president, right? He's a mangaka, right? Like, people like Dragon Ball. It's one of the most recognizable franchises in human history. Think about, oh, I'm sorry, again, it's cut off. I'm really bad with this. I'm just not going to cut off the left side. There's nothing on it anyway. I'm just not going to cut off the left side. Right? Think about that. You waited until he was dead, until the news of it. And by the way, look what's trending. Look, like, come on. Like, you almost can't even make this up. But yeah, like, you waited until he was long dead. You know, he was dead a week, give or take. But you waited till he was dead to try to farm fucking clicks. Like, who are you appealing to? Who are you appealing to when you say this? How do you expect to say something so crazy? And even if he was like a controversial figure, right? How do you think you're not going to get flamed? And then you're going to turn around and say people are bullying you. Let's be fair here. This is like almost their religion, right? They want people to get mad at them saying obviously inflammatory shit. And people should get mad at them because this is disgusting, bro. This dude is not even dead in the ground for a week. And people are already over here trying to get click clout off of them being dead, right? And it's not like Toriyama was like a big inflammatory figure. It's not like Toriyama came up and tweeted at It's Kindred like, you're a piece of shit, right? You know, I made black characters in this show to be bad intentionally, right? None of that. He just made a thing that he thought was cool in the 80s. And he's been making art and making it and advising on it since. And it's one of the biggest IPs in history. Even the worst written Dragon Ball shit, like someone says, is better than anything they've ever made. It did better than anything. I wonder what Kakarot's numbers are. I hate to keep comparing it to all these different games. I wonder what Kakarot's numbers are, especially now. Now that he's dead, people are probably playing it to fucking, you know, get a little bit of a nostalgia. Oh, look, would you see? Kakarot is beating it. Wow. Kakarot is completely blowing it out the water. And yes, it did get a little bit of a bump because he did pass away. They also just had a DLC for it. They had like some extra like post-game DLC. I think I bought this game. I forget what I bought it on, if I did. I'm like I said, I'm not a huge Dragon Ball fan, but you know, I like it. It's cool. It's good. I like Chrono Trigger. I like Blue Dragon, even though those are a little more niche, right? Dragon Quest is a little bit Japan exclusive, right? But yeah, think about that. That's what these people think about this. They'll do the same thing to anybody, bro. They did it to Michael Jackson. That was the first time I noticed this. They did it to Michael Jackson, right? There's this legend of the 80s, right? The legend, you know, and then he does all this stuff. Again, you could disagree with the plastic surgery. I don't know why he did that. There's a lot of deep-seated issues in a lot of people. I think that working through that is part of living life, but I'm not going to get into that. And I remember that all of a sudden now this dude's been dead 20 years or some shit. All people could do is take pot shots at him. Oh, he ran the ranch. Oh, he did this, he did that. It's gross. They wait for you to be unable to defend yourself, and then they do it. And there's no other person they're going to wait to do this for than Trump. I guarantee you that's going to totally happen, right? And even, like I said, at least that would be a divisive thing. What did Toriyama do? What did Toriyama do, genuinely? He made Mr. Popo, who is still a good character, an interesting character, based off a Hindu god? Which, you know, like, even, like, I don't understand this and the Jinx thing, right? A long time ago, some black lady looked at this and was like, oh my god, this totally is black women. This looks like black women. Now, I do think Jinx looks better with purple, personally. I don't think it's because of blackface. I just like purple as a color, and I think it looks cooler with the design. It matches the colors a bit better. Someone looked at this. Oh my god. Someone looked at this and was like, this is a stereotype of black women. Somehow. If you look at this and you see yourself, bro, this is what I'm saying. We need therapy, man. These people need therapy, dude. They don't need to complain about fucking shit that people are putting out. What was this? 3D model? Oh shit, it's in the Alola Pokedex? Holy shit. Has it been in any games? Of course it hasn't. Of course it fucking hasn't. Thank you. I appreciate that. They were supposed to get Mega Jinx and they never did, by the way. And that's a side note. That has nothing to do with it. I'm trying to look for the fucking thing down here. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, it was around somewhere in here. Someone, again, you never even see this fucking Pokemon anyway. But, you know, somewhere in here they were changing things up with Jinx. I think it happened between Gold and Silver. You could see that they kind of changed. Well, we have to zoom in on that. They changed it a little bit for the international release. And then obviously since then, I mean, you don't even ever see this Pokemon anyway. Let's be completely fair here. This is such a thrown away Pokemon in general. You never even see this. But yeah, there was a whole controversy about Jinx. Carol Boston Weatherford, a cultural critic, claimed that Jinx, which appeared in episode, what is this? What episode is this? Fucking 39th. Rescheduled following the episode 38. What was it, Safari Zone? No, the fucking Pikachu episode, yeah. Yeah, it's the Pikachu episode, which caused the seizures. Yeah, oh my god, they could not get a fucking W. This version has still not been dubbed and it's still banned in the United States. Now, mind you, it's banned on their end. They just don't want to release it, okay? So yeah, there's edited versions available. If you want to watch Pokemon, you have to go through like 15 different services. It's ridiculous to see the whole series. Anyway, it has nothing to, that's completely irrelevant anyway. But yeah, they listened, they changed it. Luckily, I think it looks better, right? I think that black is just a boring color. I think that purple like adds a little bit more of that early Pokemon flair to it. But you really looked at this, and yeah, see, Mr. Popo gets mentioned here as well. Potentially offensive, bro. These people make me sick, dude. There's something wrong with this woman. There's something wrong with this woman in the same way that there's something wrong with this woman, in the same way that there's something wrong It's the same person. In the same way that there's something wrong with this woman, right? These people don't need to fucking work on games. They need therapy, bro. They don't need to do this shit. So, we're not done. Believe it or not, we have 2 more links, and then I actually promise I'm done. What a journey this has been. This is actually way longer than I thought it was going to be. So PC Gamer came out and ran interference, obviously. So thank you, Harvey Randall. I don't know how much they're paying you, but I hope it's greater than whatever they're going to make off of this piece of shit. So Harvey Randall comes out. Gamers reacted because they tried to cancel a list of games they worked on and got banned from Twitter by going after a creator on Steam, trying to take his games away. I'm going to post this again, bro. That is something that happened, which, by the way, then we're over here trying to clout chase Toriyama's death, of course, because that's what normal humans do. That's what normal people with accountability and reputation on the line, that's what they do. They work in an industry, try to take away people's shit that they paid for, right? Try to get them banned erroneously for not being on the same side politically. And then they clout chase dead dudes. Like, not even like a week later. They're clout chasing, or, you know, not even like, what, a month later? They're clout chasing dead dudes. It's sickness. It's something wrong, man. That's not right. Something's not right with that. But yeah, anyway. You know, it misrepresents it. It's again, you could go look at this, right? Starts off with a weird tangent. It looked like it was a warning about DRM. Yeah, no, that didn't happen, although DRM is great. You should definitely, this has nothing to do with DRM at all, even though there are great things to make about DRM, right? There's great points to make across the board, like with Capcom adding it to a bunch of games and just in general. No one has liked DRM, right? I don't think it's ever really made almost any game better except maybe like the really competitive games, right? Yeah. PC Gamer calls the attempt to organize and brigade the group its owner and attempt to get them banned as acknowledging the group and sharing a Twitter account. Yeah, of course, you know, it's acknowledging it. This is acknowledgement. Report the fuck out of it, and then report the creator personally as well. That's acknowledgement, by the way. That's normal behavior. That's not just, you know, brigading or banning or, you know, calling or hate mobbing. That's normal behavior. Yeah, totally. Gotcha. Great. And then starts with a dev team has an idea, blah blah blah. Yeah, just because it doesn't get found doesn't mean it gets no say and no influence. If you come, like she says, again, do I have to play this fucking clip 100 times, bro? Let's skip to the back end of it.
Ask for research. Go have a coffee with your marketing team and just terrify them with the possibility of what's going to happen if they don't give you what you want.
That's not having the final say when you tell someone who has to return a fucking profit on a product, right? And you already know game studios were fucked before this, so now they're super fucked, right? They have to return a product or a profit on their product. And you're over here telling them, what do you say again?
When you ask for research, go have a coffee with your marketing team and just terrify them.
Terrify them?
With the possibility of what's going to happen if they don't give you what you want.
With the possibility of what's going to happen, bro. That's a threat. They might not think it's a threat, but that makes them stupid. That doesn't mean it's not a threat. So if you go to some dude's boss and you say, listen, if you don't cover up those titties, a bunch of women are going to Me Too your game out of existence, right? Which wouldn't happen in the first place, but whatever. They're going to still say, well, we can't afford to be Me Too'd. I mean, look at Hogwarts. Hogwarts was basically had the biggest cancellation campaign against it I've ever seen for a video game. These motherfuckers don't do shit for any actual games that do this problem, right? You have all kinds of games, you know, they hire all kinds of weird people, they portray certain things, they do all kinds of fucked up stuff, right? And we could just sit here and say it's just a game, but with Hogwarts, it became a moral quandary of if you actually should support it and buy it. IGN or someone put that at the bottom of their review, which is why I don't listen to these motherfuckers anymore, right? After the SpongeBob review, I was like, why am I ever going to listen to you people? Right? Because they had a fucking AMA on 8chan. Why am I going to listen to you fucking people, man? It's sickening, right? So yeah. Sweet Baby is powerless to make sweeping changes, but their work is unimportant. Yeah. So what is it? Do they do something or do they not do something? So if they don't do something, then, you know, they just shouldn't exist. They don't do anything. They're just taking free money from companies, right? And then, I mean, if companies want to piss away money, sure, I guess that's what they're going to do. But if they are able to make changes and their work is important, then that's exactly the point that the guy's making. They're running interference on both sides. They're going to tell you that what Sweet Baby does isn't important. It's not a big deal. You're blowing it out of proportion. But then they'll flip-flop and say, well, what they do, their existence is vital, but your knowledge of it is not, is really what it is. You're supposed, like, their existence is important to the game industry. You just need to let them be the puppeteer behind the curtain and not give a shit, right? And by the way, this is what the Joker looks like in Suicide Squad, because it's going great. It's going really well. No, notice how in the Arkham games he looks totally fine. No one complains about it. He's one of the better parts of both of the games, right? And then you come to this. Anyway, yeah. And then the article ends with a celebration of these woke types have successfully infiltrated gaming, something that they tell you isn't happening. Something that they tell you is not occurring. Oh, well, gaming has changed, right? That was, where is it? This fucking lady's thing, right? Gaming has changed, right? We're not influencing games. We don't have power to influence games. We're just going to make games for all this other stuff, right? Oh, well, what are you going to do? Not buy it, right? Oh, well, there's tons of BIPOC and women main characters. Really? So how's Forspoken doing? Right? That is a BIPOC woman game. Go right ahead. Easy money, right? $1 billion franchise. Didn't happen, right? All that kind of shit. Again, these are just the ones off the top of my head. This article is filled to the brim with sweet baby fellatio. Yeah, who do you think obviously, come on. This is exactly like what they did in Gamergate. Oh, those gamers just don't want women to have sexual freedom and stuff. Bro, nobody gave a fuck who Zoe Quinn fucks. Nobody cared. People cared because she was fucking people who were reviewing her product, and her product was garbage. That's why people cared. Nobody cares about it. Nobody cares what these people do. If these people want to be sexually promiscuous and slut around, the men and the women, I don't care. That doesn't impact me in the slightest, right? I don't give a shit. So yeah. And in any event, speaking of that, I'm not going to go too in depth on this, because even I'm going to go do stuff after this, right? Nathan Grayson. Hey, look, it's one of the people that was fucking around with Zoe Quinn. I know, shocker, isn't it? Right? Yeah, he wrote an article. Yeah, this is when I was like, yeah, basically, it's the same people, right? And like, I could totally go ad hominem about the fucking, they're fucking other people and stuff, and I could say all that stuff, and maybe, if I'm really mad, I will. I could make fun of Anita having a fucking wedding-themed birthday party at 41, right? That's easy. That's too easy, man. Like, I'd rather talk about the games here. I think that, like, is it sad? Sure. But do I want to rant about it? Do I even want to show pictures of Anita having a fucking wedding-themed birthday party? No, I don't really give a shit, bro. That doesn't matter anything to me. What white women do to validate their existence is just what they do. Like, at this point, that's just par for the course. You just kind of get used to it as a man. You just kind of move beyond it. It's what they do to the industry and the hardworking people and visionaries that actually know how to create things. And that's what bothers me more. It's like, this has nothing to do with half of this. So yeah. As a bonus, I guess I have to make a second podcast. I'm not going to make it today. I was going to talk about fucking localizers and shit, right? I guess I'll show this. Because I'm going to talk about localizers in the next episode, because that was another topic recently, right? This is what they're doing to characters, right? This is a perfect example. Look how beautiful this woman on the right is. This is a beautiful woman, right? They did not translate that very well over to the left. The face is kind of there. They will intentionally censor the boobs, right? They will. They know that. That's not... They make everyone flat-chested. It's that body 1, body 2 type shit that they always do in games. Is they'll intentionally not have boobs on characters. She's lucky they kind of translated her face correctly, which is good, right? Sure, wasn't buying this anyway, because I could already smell the DEI from here, but I could agree to that. Same thing with the Jurassic Park game. They got a cute woman to voice, or to model for that too. Great, fantastic, right? I wish I had that thing of the Kojima ones open. I really do. But I don't have it open, unfortunately. Yeah, I don't have it open, unfortunately. But I could come back to this later. I don't know why she looks so weird in this second shot down here. But this is a genuinely beautiful woman, right? Appearance-wise, very good looking, right? Why is it only the women that get fucked up in this manner in games too? Why is it like the dudes never get fucked up in this manner? At all. It's only ever the women. It's very interesting how it's the women and never the men. Why is Scott Cawthon trending? I'm scared to even click on this. I won't even do it. But yeah, who knows? Who really knows? I mean, it's Ubisoft. They could do a bunch of weird shit. You know, like, I don't... Whatever this weird, like, affiliation or adversement that they have to, or you know, how against they are having attractive women in games is just gross. It feels more misogynistic than anything like anyone on this side of the fence is saying, right? Like, why wouldn't you want to have good-looking women? And like women, like everything on the planet, come in all manners of shapes, sizes, all kinds of things, right? Like, so you'll have women that will have no boobs. That's fine. It happens. You'll have women that have big boobs. That's fine. It happens. You'll have women that are skinny. You'll have women that are fatter. It happens, right? Same thing with men. It happens with women. Same thing, right? And on a very basic level, I agree with some of it. I don't think you should insult people based on their appearance just because of that. If they're being a dick about it, that's one thing, right? If you're being an ass about it, you're allowed to have a preference, right? You're allowed to say, I don't really like fat chicks, right? You're allowed to say that because they do it in return. I think that's fine, right? But the thing that gets me is, like, why would they change this? Why would they not respect the fact that this is how she looks? This is the kind of woman that she is. Beautiful by almost any metric. I would say that this woman is like a solid 10 almost. Why would you not respect that? Why would you intentionally change that? Unless it was at her behest, why would you change that? It's one thing if it's at their behest, right? Okay, whatever. I still disagree with it, but at least if you yourself made a personal ask for it, then sure. But you should see what they did. Let me see if I can find this shit. I hit the home menu button again. Let's see. Oh, fuck. Let's see. Can I find it? Yeah, here we go. Did they try to fix it? Yeah, here we go. This was a topic on Battlefield recently that they were trying to, why won't it, oh, did I not copy the link? I don't really want to go to the Reddit. Let's just copy the image address, because I don't want to go to the fucking Reddit. Right? What the fuck is this World War II ass propaganda, bro? How do you take such a beautiful looking woman on the right and end up with whatever this is on the left? And, like, that's the thing. Is, like, let me see if I could find this, too. Let's see. No, I'm not going to be able to find it. I had it open and I didn't save it somewhere where I could easily get it. But it was the face scans for all the laughing octopus and shit. I'm not going to be able to find it. It was like all the actresses, yeah, Raging Raven, Laughing Octopus, they scan those faces near perfectly. I can't find it right now. Unfortunately, it's really I don't have that image. It wasn't passed around enough. I probably saved it in like some weird place. But like they were able to do that how many years ago, right? This is concept art, obviously, but how do we go from concept art that looks really fucking cool to what Battlefield is in such a shit state, bro? I have to really be honest. Battlefield is in such a terrible fucking state. It's not even this. It's just everything about Battlefield. In fact, if I even take a step back really briefly, because I never get to use these, it's covering it up. Like, even when we had this, right? Like, when they were doing the Genderfield 5 fucking bullshit, right? Like, you could tell what their priorities are, right? And Battlefield has been suffering because of it. Like, remember when Battlefield 4 came out? And Battlefield 4 was just, like, a really fun, really cool, interesting game that people liked and played nonstop, and now it's basically dead and fucking deleted and forgotten? Let me see if I could find this shit, which I probably won't be able to. Yeah, I won't be able to find it. They had her picture in something. I don't remember where. Yeah, like, remember when Battlefield was just fun and they had stuff? Like, I do agree. Should they have more customization? Sure. Should you be able to make, Asian characters and stuff? If you're fighting on the team that makes it relevant? Sure. Right? Like, if you're on the American team, I would personally love to be able to customize my own characters, my own classes in Battlefield 4. That was like one of the things I wish you could do. Instead, your character's race and appearance is decided by the class you play, the role you play. I would have loved to be able to custom. You think I wouldn't have jumped at the opportunity to make Who's Mans, right? Now, obviously, in America, it's going to be a little bit more racially diverse because we are more racially diverse than like Russia and especially China, right? Especially in the armed forces. So I get like America is just going to have more diversity. That's, you know, with all their talk about realism and shit, that is realistic. That is going to happen, okay? And that's not a problem, right? But like, you know, again, I don't like the whole way they set up 2042. I was looking forward to it for about a little bit, and then I was like, yeah, no, I'm good. So, I mean, like, there's no reason why they can't somehow make the one on the right. Let me see if I could do this, because now we're kind of getting into the localization thing, and I don't really want to do that. So, okay, my bad. I was off of the thing. I have to remember now to edit that a little bit. But yeah, like, they're able to do this. I found this link, right? Where they're over here. This is the lady who plays Ada. This is the face model, right? They were able to find someone that looks exactly like her. Why can't anyone else do this? Why is this impossible for American studios to do, but not Japanese studios? The Japanese figured out how to do this perfectly. Like, what is this shit? Like you can model the one on the right, even if it's not based off of a woman or like a real woman, right? Like, even if it's just a fictional Asian woman. What is this World War II propaganda, bro? This looks like something they would have put when they were going off to fight him in Japan or something. I know this is a Korean woman. This just looks weird. This looks uncanny valley levels. Whereas the one on the right looks way more inspiring. This looks like absolute anti-Asian propaganda. It's an official fucking game. And then they don't let people mod it, right? Because people would mod this shit in like a week, right? Which is another topic we're going to get to with the fucking mods that they made for Resident Evil 4. But whatever. All right? They're able to make this. I might have covered this up before. Here's the person that plays Leon. It looks just like him. Other than the hair, it looks basically almost identical to him. It's got the same nose, the same chin, right? Everything. It looks just like him. Same eyebrow thickness. Why are Americans unable to do this? What is this, Ben Bertoli? Yeah, look at the eyes. It's got basically the same thing. It looks like an older version because I think Ben was always... Again, the hair, a little bit of liberty taken because they want to make this true to the original game, right? But it looks just like him. You could tell that this is based off a real person that exists somewhere, right? It's like Deborah Wilson. That's another... Oh my God, this is literally him. This is literally just him, right? If you go look at Deborah Wilson, right? Can I pull up Deborah Wilson? They make her look exactly the way she does in all her games, right? And listen, I know people don't like her, right? They're like, she's bug-eyed, she's this, she's that. That's how she looks, right? All I'm saying is that when someone looks a certain way, put them in the game that way. Unless it's like part of the plot that like they get fucked up or something, right? Like, then that's one thing, okay? But the lady over here did not get a fucking mastectomy before coming on to be the Star Wars lady. That didn't happen, okay? Like, Deborah Wilson looks like this. For what it's worth, she looks like this, all right? And that's why when you see her, look, it's even in Fallen Order. Here you go. She was on Oprah? Goddamn, nice. That's why when you see her in this, I'm not going to open this video, we're good. She looks exactly the same. This is her. Maybe this is, I don't know, this might be a more recent picture. This is her. Same eyes, same face, same everything. Only thing they did was she has hair. That's it. And even in the sequel, right? Like, that's why I don't really hate her as Amanda Waller. This is probably like one of the General Lyons in Modern Warfare. I have no idea who that is. That's why I don't hate Deborah Wilson. I think that she's doing exactly what she should do. I actually really liked her as Seer. Remember that I didn't even play Fallen Order until what? Like, late 2022? I was late to that game. I fucking love that game. It's one of my favorite games. She looks exactly like she does in real life. So why are they unable to do that? Well, this is not based off of anything. Why are they unable to not do that outside of this? Like, if we look up... Here we go. Might as well bring this shit up. Why are they unable... All right, we'll go to Asmongold's. Why are they unable to translate this beautiful woman on the left to whatever this monstrosity is on the right? Why are they unable? It's right there. They clearly consulted her. They got the freckles. They got a little bit of the lip shape. Obviously, the teeth is probably because it's a medieval game, whatever, right? What happened above the nose? This is not the same woman. This is a very beautiful woman. I'm not a huge fan of short hair, but, you know, she's got a very good appearance going on, right? What the fuck happened? This is like when they gave Abby those fucking arms in fucking Last of Us that didn't exist in the original trailer. They buffed her up for no fucking reason. Same shit. Why are they unable to figure this out? It's got to be intentional at this point. This is not like a one... If this was one-off, I could just say they just had a bad scan. That's clearly not the case, right? All right, here, we'll do this. Oh my god, it's a search result. We'll see if we could find Aloy's face. They had a difference between her and these games, which is already one thing, but you could argue whatever, that's a video game, right? Where's her fucking model? Character difference model. No, I want to know, I don't want to know her difference between the games. I want to find the picture of her actual model. And I can't find it now. Because I honestly, I suspect foul play, honestly. What the fuck? They've been using AI to fix up her shit, by the way. I saw that, too, as well. Damn, I had a perfect picture of her, and I don't know where I saved it. And it bothers me that I did not save it and like, put it in the Google document. Well, they got this basically 1-to-1. Holy shit. Okay, they got her near perfect, honestly. Why they couldn't do it for Aloy, I have no idea. Yeah, here we go. This is what her model looks like. How did they fuck that up and end up with whatever this is? Where did all the extra face fat come from? Like, I hate to nitpick it like this, but really, they take women that are legitimately models. Like, I don't just mean like face models. I mean like they basically could be models. They're like 9s and 10s. And somehow they hit the, oh god, it's cut off again. I always do this shit. Let me open this in the big fucking tab. Jesus Christ. I'll be better prepped next time, right? How do they fuck this up? How do they fuck this up? Seriously. It makes no sense. It's got to be intentional. And that's what I'm saying. And I agree. I think it is intentional. I do think that they intentionally take women. I don't know if someone that works on these games, you know, feels a certain type of way. Because look, she looks closer. Here's another fucking character, right? This is a character from Forbidden West. Looks like Aloy. I'm not going to get too into it in case you haven't played the game. She looks just like the model. She looks more like it than Aloy does. So that, I don't understand that. There must be something going on behind the scenes here because there's somehow, they did not translate this very well. I don't know what it was, but they really didn't. And they keep doing it. Here we go. They have, they did the same thing for, they have the different models for Jill. The Jill actors, they're able to fucking do that perfectly. Can I find that? Jill Resident Evil 3 model. I don't know. Character model? Yeah, they could translate that, no problem. The only change is the hair. The Japanese... Oh, God, it's cut off again. Oh, let me just fix it right now. The Japanese have figured this shit out ages ago. They know how to do it, no problem. They figured this shit out years ago, bro. She looks like... She actually kind of looks a little bit like Mila Jovovich. It's kind of like a perfect... She would love to return. Good, I hope she does. The only thing I hope is that they don't make bad remakes anymore. I really hope they don't. That's like my biggest complaint is that the game is not good compared to the original. It has nothing to do with her. They just made it like a really shitty like remake. Like the Japanese don't have problems doing this. Why Americans do? I mean, ultimately, like that's up for you to fucking say, right? But they have no problem, right? Like I already showed. They have no problem with the woman that plays. Oh God, I copied the image. It won't paste that. They have no problem with the woman that plays Ada. They figured that out. I mean, that was even in the video. This guy looks exactly, you know, I don't need to go too into it, right? Looks just like her. Same eyes, same everything, same facial features, everything. Just the only thing different is the hair because they want to make it the iconic Ada haircut. That's it. Looks exactly like her. Not doing the service of that is honestly way more misogynistic than anything, bro. That is worse than anything else that you can imagine. Because, like, dudes will put hot women in games. You could argue maybe they don't put enough realistic-looking women in games, but this is realistically how this woman looks. That's realistically how Ada's model looks, and they put it in the game, and they called it a day, right? I am assuming it's the same woman that they brought back for remake as well. I'm not going to look into that, right? Why we can't do it in the West, I don't know, but it's got to be foul play. It can't be anything else besides foul play at this point. So that has been a near exhaustive review of everything that's happened with Sweet Baby in the last fucking month. I will continue to monitor this. I will have another podcast tomorrow, next week, I'm going to try to do it weekly, even if there's not much to talk about, then I don't have to talk much, which is excellent. But obviously, like, I should have done a week-by-week analysis of this. It would have been broken down into smaller parts. But hopefully, I'm not trying to change anyone's opinion. I'm just documenting this shit, honestly, because one, it's funny, but it's also really fucking sad, and it's really disgusting, some of the shit that they're doing. Like, they know they intentionally left out that they were getting bullied and shit. Like, they know this. They fucking know this. They're not fucking stupid. Whoever's writing these articles, they know that Chris Kindred wrote that shit. They know. And they just left it out. So, like, I think it's good to talk about. It's good to get out there. And more importantly, fuck these people. I genuinely mean that. Go fuck yourselves. But I'm done now. I'm going to go play video games and enjoy some things. So have a good one. Very nice.